2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
It doesn't freaking make sense.
Give credit to Brandon Herbert for being consistent, being a man of his, your convictions.
Yeah.
Shutterstock Music.
CP3 family. This is Carl D. Chef Jeff Hodge.
They're already coming in here in droves. Underground West, Legacyland, Michael Hart,
Shutterstock Music.
Joey Esquivel, Candy, who I might still put in timeout just for the sake of it.
And you know what? We've been defending Cam since the beginning.
It's your boy Jed up.
Shutterstock Music.
World famous
Legacyland.
Hey guys, Josh from Math.
Candy
Shutterstock Music.
is absolutely lit as it always is. Michael Jones, Underground West, Legacyland, Jake DeLone, Richard's Outdoor World. Man, it's already lit in the chat room. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Shutterstock Music.
What's up, C3? Is Nova Black.
Boy, we have some stuff to talk about, man. The chat room is already lit up. Michael Wayne, Carlton Cohen, Joey Esquivel, Jake DeLome, Underground West. The whole crew is here.
Hey, fellas, this is Sarah.
Richard London. You know Susan's in the house.
Coolest fans hanging out in the chat room.
Shutterstock Music.
Stat Bat Daddy, CK later in the show. We love them. All the big names. 10 Tizzy, Lee Andrew, Underground West. Josh from Mass is already roasting the mustache-less Tony Dunn.
Keep up there with fellas. Love it. Love listening to you guys.
And move on now to our Ice Up picks.
Ice up, son.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Ice Up. What you got, Greg?
You can ice up, man.
Yeah, folks. What's up? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. My name is Tony Dunn. We're in the house tonight. I got to unmute the fellas' mics before I forget. Just did it. I'm here hanging out with my homeboys talking about the Carolina Panthers every Tuesday night live, 9 p.m. CarolinaCatChronicles.com, the C3 Carolina Panthers Podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Check out my homeboy, Cody Lashney. What's up, my man?
Tony Dunn. We have the most lit intros there are, man. Shout out to our man, Bat Daddy, for throwing that one together for us. Showing love to everyone that supports the channel always, that makes this show what it is, keeps the conversation alive. And you already know the chat room is lit. God of Blackness, Trill One, Tommy Dark, Martin Richards Outdoor World, Josh from Mass, and of course Underground West, Tony Dunn. And nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Oh, Bat Daddy, John Kidco Barrera says this. You got to throw in that nice soundbite next. G Baby, what's up? Greg, how you doing? Thanks for the shout out to the fans. Greg, the Stat Daddy, put that together as a little homage to the fan base of the most lit Panthers podcast out there.
Oh, yeah, man. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I mean, like I guess we all do, about how well they support us, like Cody was saying. Just love you guys. You'll make this show fun, really, really fun to be on. So I really appreciate it.
The people in the chat room love it already. Stat Daddy, tell them how they can find you on Twitter.
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter.
All right, we got CK in the house, I think. Or are you on silence mode?
Oh, I'm here just for the introduction, then I'm going to go silent for a few minutes.
Right on. All right, CK, it's nice to have you back. We played your call last week. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're excited to go check out this Panthers game with me on Sunday, even though there's not a lot to be excited about other than playing a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be, it's going to be pretty empty, I feel like, in the stadium. But I'll be excited to be there to actually witness again a little bit about Christian McCaffrey, and maybe see the start of what North or I guess Scott Turner has and in fuel. If something crazy happens to those, it'd be nice to be the first home game since Ron Rivera was fired, and we start to see this rebuild stage. To be a part of that is something that's going to be pretty interesting. So let's get it rolling.
All right. Tonight's show is a funky title. I got to find it. I didn't know what to say about tonight's show. Moving forward is hard, but inevitable for the Carolina Panthers. We're somewhere approaching 50. We're getting close to 50 podcasts this season. I know that we hit 52 right about the time of the Super Bowl, but I just got tired of counting them. We're here hanging out every Tuesday night. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. We got 13 likes already, 34 viewers in the chat. We got tons of calls on the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Guys, let's go ahead and jump into the conversation and talk about this. Is Dante Jackson, we talked about this on the post-game show. Cody, you were the one that said, hey, we got some juicy news here. And Dante Jackson got roasted on a 93-yard touchdown or something like that. He was in man coverage. He was unprepared, unready for the snap, trying to run with the guy. The guy's first NFL catch was for a 90-something yard touchdown. He got smoked by the third wide receiver. And Dante Jackson, though, fought back after the game, Cody. Have you, now that you've had a little time to think about it, any more thoughts from the what was your position on the post game to remind listeners who didn't check that out?
Well, my position on the post game was that I imagine it's hard being a 20-something-year-old dude playing in the NFL, and you make a mistake for the world to see, and then everyone wants to say, "Oh, you're trash. Dante Jackson sucks. Dante can't cover for shit." It's that kind of narrative that gets in your head, and at the same time, you feel that the play calling is what let the team down. I understand the scenario that he's in of not wanting to look as bad, but yeah, you can't throw your coaches under the bus. It's kind of put it out there that you're hard to work with and that you're not a team player, and it kind of sends a message that. And we've all wondered this about Dante, is how selfish is he? Is he a team player, or does he want to look out for himself? So I definitely understand the criticism of why you definitely wouldn't do that.
Could this be a good thing for him, this moment?
Sure. It could be a learning opportunity. Yeah,
I think so. I think so, is that on a team that's doing bad, you probably, like last year, you saw him in that Pittsburgh game. He was struggling with right? He was and Coach Rivera, and coach got in his face in the locker room in a way that was meant to level him out, right? And that is, get out of your own head and get your head in the game. And is that he kind of has bought into his own hype to a certain degree. And that's good. You want a guy who's confident, but it borders on arrogance and cockiness at all times. Confidence can always waver. But what we get here is that this is an opportunity now where I think last year he thought he was a good player on a bad team. I think this year he found out that he's an okay player on a bad team, and that play right there was embarrassing for him. And Brad Dugan brings it up as Steve Smith was roasting Dante hard on WFNZ radio, and I've actually got that audio. I'll let you guys hear what he had to say. Oh, hold on.
You know, when
here it goes.
Interesting. Is, you know, when Mr. Tepper took over the team, there were people really excited about him. There were people that were complaining about Mr. Richardson. He's not.
Hold on. Did I do the whole clip, not the clip?
Implement what you who understand.
All right, you guys talk about it. Greg, what do you think about it right now? What do you have you heard about this Jackson story?
Yeah, I was reading up about it earlier today, and honestly, man, you pretty much laid it out exactly like I was going to say. I think maybe he just drank a little bit too much of his own Kool-Aid, and he had a great start to the season, and he had a pretty good year last year, and he's not doing terrible now, but maybe he did get too overconfident in himself, and he just let it go to his head. He seemed like a nice, humble kind of guy when he got to the team. I mean, wasn't he the guy that took his first paycheck and bought his mom a car?
Yeah,
maybe.
I kind of think that's a commonplace when you're in the NFL, since they've, mama's been fronting you since you've been playing high school football. But I don't know. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, man. I maintain that there is a lot of talent on this football team. Okay. Before the year, we were all saying that this is probably the most talented defensive backfield that we've had in a long time. And now all of a sudden that the season's gone down the drain, now we don't think so anymore. Now we think Dante Jackson's just a good player. Luke Kuechly's getting older, falling off a cliff. I don't know, man. It's hard to really diagnose problems when your entire team is playing so poorly.
Well, here I got the clip too of the play, and it's just bad. He has got some of the same problems he had last year. Here, I think this is where the clip starts. We'll just go with it here.
Man. And now all of a sudden, we miss him now, and that wasn't a good thing. And let me address this as well. I love Dante Jackson. He's a young player.
I knew it was coming.
But to go on TV and to talk about the coaches as if like they hung him out to dry. Listen, coaches are going to coach and players are going to play. But to go out there and to throw the coaching staff under the bus to say that it was bad. And I talked to Ray today, Ray Lewis, and he said that was a bad call. The defense probably shouldn't have put him in that position. However, let's go down let me do my analytic work. First of all, the play is gone. He's not even ready to go. He went to DBU, LSU. He's a second-round pick. His hashtag on his name on his Instagram and social media is Action Jackson. They're in the game. He's going against a number 3 wide receiver. And it's 3rd and 7, not 3rd and long. 3rd and long is 10+. 3rd and 7 is medium. Now, they shouldn't call the all-out blitz. You know why they shouldn't have called the all-out blitz, Kyle? They shouldn't have called the all-out blitz. Hold on a second. They shouldn't have called an all-out blitz and put that young man on the island, because man-to-man coverage pressed up, that's a man's game. And this is a young team that have some men and some young men. And what I saw from Dante is I saw a young man realize he was thrown in the ocean and he had to swim to his floaty. The only problem is that floaty busted. And that 3rd-string wide receiver went long on his ass. And he's going to now go talk to the media. It's going to be a long season. And Panther fans, let me tell you this. Lower your standards. Really, 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 really low. Because you're in for a ride.
The rest of the season? Is that what you're talking about?
The rest of the season.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's why. You got trend.
So there's Smitty. He comes after the young buck. And
Young Bucks. He went after DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, too. So this is a trend now.
Yes, he does have the kind of old man we used to walk to school both ways uphill in the snow thing going right now.
That's 100% what it is.
he also called out, I want to say, I couldn't figure out who he was talking about in this game, but somebody that averages 4 catches a game made a good catch and got up and danced. And I don't know if it was Curtis Samuel or DJ Moore. DJ Moore had 4 catches in this game. And so he was like, look, you out there getting your tails whooped and y'all having a sorry-ass season. He wants them all basically to just put Smitty on their helmet and be like, right. I can't hold Smitty's jockstrap. You know, I think he might
do it back in my day when I was playing for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, we didn't wear jock straps. I kind of wonder though if Steve Smith respects somebody who comes back at him more, or if he would just get mad.
He'd probably just get pissed. Maybe I'm wrong.
Like he would try to fight.
Yeah, because, there would be this sense of you're talking to a Panther legend, and who are you? You ain't done shit, And I do think it's a little bit unfair because there's a coaching to team dynamic that Steve Smith isn't necessarily aware of because he's not in the locker room anymore. But at the same time, I mean,
but we do know that. Yeah, and Dante is not a pro yet. I mean, he's not preparing like a pro yet. We can 100%. See it. And part of, and that is kind of his style. He likes to look casual and cool while he's out there, rather than, I think, and that's why I think this could be a good moment for him, is a humbling moment. This is what Damian Lewis had to say about it, and I thought this was interesting.
If he wasn't who he was, he would be cut.
Yeah.
A,
I agree.
B, he should be fine. C, I wouldn't be surprised if he don't play next week. Like, in my opinion, they need to bench him. Because that's like cancer, man. You got to cut that out. You can't ever go out and speak on your coaching staff the way you did. Because sometimes in football, you got to overcome coaching. They're human. They make bad calls. But you want to be the highest paid corner coming up in the league one day, right? So get your ass out there and tackle the guy. Get a pass interference, tackle the guy, and don't give up a touchdown. We've all been put on the island in football. That's why we out doing what we do. Step up and make a play instead of complaining and griping about it to the media. I mean, it's ridiculous. How childish can you be? That's the most childish thing you can do as a football player, is run to the media talking about they put me on the island, the Champ Bailey, top 100. Oh, man, come on, bro. You trying to be the highest paid corner in the league. Go out there and make a damn play and shut your mouth.
Yeah.
I like that, and that's kind of what the whole team needs that at this moment, is to just make a damn play. But the thing is nobody's going to be making a play on this team. Everybody's playing poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just going to say, whenever Steve Smith was talking, it almost sounded like he was kind of defending both sides of the playing both sides of the argument, because on one hand he's talking about Dante Jackson doing this and how stupid it was, which is, I agree with him 100%. But then on the other hand, talking about how the coaches should have never called that all-out blitz. So I'm kind of wondering.
Oh no, he said that. You know why? No, the reason he said that they shouldn't call out the all-out blitz is because the players and personnel they got ain't man enough to play that way.
Okay.
That's what he's saying.
Because of the play situation. Okay, well that makes more sense then. I got you.
And then here, this is how Smitty ends the call today.
So too, I know some people, Fowler gonna say something. All these boys know my address. I let the people at the gate know if you need to come in and come talk to me.
I love it. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Action. Don't try me.
Be good, brother. Steve Smith.
So this is for all the people, for anybody who has ever tweeted, if anybody has ever tweeted or written or thought that Steve Smith would make a good wide receivers coach, this is why he wouldn't. This is also, there is an argument that part of the reason the Panthers have had trouble developing other wide receivers is because because Steve Smith's personality almost didn't have any room for another receiver on the team. Yeah. The closest we got was Kerry Colbert. It was just Muhsin Muhammad. That was the only one we had that ever worked well with Steve. And that, I think, is because he was an elder statesman to a certain degree. So, Dante Jackson, though, his play has not – let's look at it like this, Cody, and we'll finish on Dante and move into the calls. But when you say it's hard to evaluate, the one thing that doesn't look like has happened with Dante Jackson is that he's gotten better. He's really kind of the same player he was. And that might be a referendum on the coaching some, but at the end of the day, it's his play, and he's the one that's going to have to you got to, like one guy said, you got to play in spite of coaches sometimes, perform in spite of coaches.
And I have a very strong feeling about this. But before we go any further, I feel that it's absolutely important that we wish Susan Deans the happiest of birthdays.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday.
58 years
Happy
old.
birthday.
Susan Deans, you know we love you. Thank you so much for the support, as always, and happiest of birthdays to you.
All right.
On this kind of deal right here, I've been a big proponent of our coaching staff doesn't know what to do with this talent. This is the same coaching staff that doesn't play Brian Burns, but on 22 snaps in a game. Now, I'm not absolving Dante Jackson. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that he acted very immaturely, and that's not something that you do. That's not how you represent your teammates. That's not how you represent your coaches. But at the same time, I really don't have faith that this coaching staff is doing the proper job at cultivating and building up our young, talented football players. And that's why I'm hopeful that in the future, when a new coaching staff comes in, we can see some of the young players turn over a new leaf in their football career.
I'm trying to look up. Brian Burns got up to 47% of the snaps, 34 in this game. So, increase. They're listening there.
A little better.
Yeah. All right. Look, we're going to jump into the cat calls in just a second, but CK and I this weekend are going to be heading to Charlotte to check out the Seattle Seahawks, who will be making the playoffs. They lost to the Los Angeles Rams, I believe, this past, Sunday night football game. And really the Rams are kind of resurging at this moment. But we're going to go check out these Seahawks and see what this playoff team looks like. And we're hoping that some fans are going to show up at Bank of America Stadium. Perry Fuel has called on them, saying that we need the fans more than ever right now. And if you want to join us at the game, the best way to get there is to check out the Vivid Seats app. You go to the App Store, the Play Store, you get the Vivid Seats app, use the promo code OVERTIME, and it hooks you up with 100% buyer guarantee that you're going to get a good, honest ticket for a price you like. No worries, no hassles, super easy. Sort by price, sort by seat. Use the promo code OVERTIME at checkout, and you'll receive a discount up to $100 on your first program purchase. And they have a rewards loyalty program. That's the Vivid Seats app. Promo code OVERTIME. Go and cheer on your Panthers. They need that help. All right, guys, let's get into the cat calls and see what the fans got to say. There's actually a lot of calls. I didn't think people were going to show up, and the fans have a lot to say, so let's see what's going on.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, Cody. This is Ryan from Tucson, Arizona. I got a bone to pick with you. You said that Todd Bowles would be a good hire. And everybody on the podcast is picked to be either general manager / owner of the team except you. I think it's because you decided that Todd Bowles would be a good candidate for the Panthers job. What is what I gotta say about that?
We just
he said that Kyle Allen was harder to prepare for than Cam Newton, and that he finds his outlets faster. And that Cam Newton struggles to find his quick outlets among various other issues. In other words, Todd Bowles hates Cam Newton and thinks Kyle Allen is better. So if he was the head coach of the team, he would probably cut Cam Newton and keep Kyle Allen as their starter. The only position you deserve, mister, is a position in the cleaning room cleaning the players' jockstraps, bro. After a time like that. But I mean, but nothing but love and respect for you, Tony. You caught me, guys.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. You let me have it there. And you know what? I wouldn't mind as long as you let me clean Cam Newton's. Take that.
Nice.
All right, next call.
Hey, what's up, fellas? This is the man that was here up in Northwest NC. Love my Panthers. Love you guys. Thanks for what you do. But I'm wanting to look at, you know, the opposite side of things. You know, what could have been done differently for people. Sorry, I've had a few drinks. So forgive my
Always
speech.
good to preface it with that.
Yeah.
But
I'm turned up a little bit.
I don't get all the hate on Ron. I can't blame it all on Ron. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to miss the guy. Everybody else can kiss my ass. You know, all you fucking Ron haters can kiss my ass. This dude, I don't know. I think he's done almost as good as I'm thinking to John Fox.
Well, that's like not that great though
Not only
either.
that, I don't
It's
know
just
the
okay.
records, but getting places.
I think we all agree Ron
Well,
Rivera is
Super Bowl
the best head
playoffs,
coach in
I mean-
Panthers history, right?
That's all you
Well,
got.
Yeah.
at Carolina, I think Don Shula. Didn't we have Don Shula?
Maybe we need
Yeah,
to
but
get those two
Ron's
guys,
been the
you
most
know.
Not while he was here.
Shit, I don't know. But
You know you're wasted when you're loving on Ron.
you guys
And John Fox.
keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Show when I can catch it.
Uh,
And
All right. Fuck off, Ron haters. That's what it's gonna say. All right, thanks for your call. All right, let's talk about this. I do want to. I've been thinking. This has been on my mind for a while. Look, I think when Tepper described the firing of Ron Rivera as appropriate, I thought that was a good way of putting it. Because here is that just because we fired him does not mean that what he did while he was a coach here was not good at all. Right?
No.
Is that it's really, but there has been, he peaked at one point and it's been hard to get it back. And whether that is his fault entirely, it doesn't matter, is that it seemed like time for a new era. What was weird to me is how afterwards this contingent of fans has come out that all of a sudden is so nervous Ron is gone. And then on top of that, Ron's exit got old to me.
Yeah,
Quick.
well, can I just say, like the man is not dead. The man lost his job. But I want to pinpoint something. Could the firing of Ron Rivera have been handled any better than how the Panthers did it? I mean, we just fired a head coach, and the entire Twitter timeline for the Carolina Panthers is nothing but reverence for Ron Rivera and thank you for everything that you've done. And David Tepper talks about how good of a man Ron Rivera is.
It's been it's almost overboard, Cody.
Right,
it's like
you can say
too
that
much.
it's overboard, but from a business standpoint and from a gratitude standpoint, you cannot handle the firing of a head coach better than how the Carolina Panthers and David Tepper just did. And
There's only one person that thought they could have done it better. Jordan Rodriguez had this weird position the whole time, like firing him on a Tuesday when nobody is there.
But to her credit, I didn't know if she knew that they were going to do a press conference for him literally the next day. And how often does that happen? Or how often are you fired as a head coach?
Have you ever heard of a firing being ceremonious?
No,
I've always heard it's unceremonious. This is an unceremonious. This has been. It got old to me. And when he pulled out the whole ad in the newspaper, I was just all over it. And the reason I say I'm over it is because we don't need to feel bad that we want better.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I thought was, when you talk about, and forgive me if you guys are having trouble hearing me, let me know my connection.
Nope, we're good.
The fact that it was described as appropriate, like you said, Tony, is really kind of doubled in with where Ron said that in his interview with Jerry Richardson, he asked how long he wanted to be there. He said somewhere between 8 to 10 years. He said after that, it's probably going to be time to move on. And at 9 years, like it's almost just poetic in that frame of mind, because he made the decision before he even got offered the job that 8 to 10 years was the time frame he wanted to be here. So I think it actually ended up in the favor of him and what he wanted. Appropriate.
I don't like that though. Like I'm not doubting that he said that, but why would you go into anything like this where you say you're going to do it for 8 to 10 years? Because then if you know you're going to quit around then, you're going to have senioritis once you get towards the point that he's at, and just not give a shit and half-ass your job.
I don't think it was ever a situation where he thought he was going to quit. I think he just realized the average tenure for a coach in the NFL is not going to go that long. And I don't think it was ever a situation where 10 years hit and he made the decision.
Like he was almost making the. It's one of those questions in the interview where they go, "Tell us your greatest weaknesses."
Yeah.
And you're like, or your greatest strengths. And you don't want to be like, well, I got the biggest, you got to like keep it measured. So you'll be like, well, I think one of my strengths is that I know that I have weaknesses. That's kind of
or Michael Scott, or do Michael Scott and say, I care too much.
All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252. Yeah, go ahead. 252-228-5098.
What's up, C3? It's Darius from Raleigh. I just wanted to talk about
Darius?
the Dante Jackson news again. I'm tired of coaches being held in a high regard when they constantly still make mistakes.
Well, don't worry. Nobody's really held in a high regard right now.
Puppets and not be able to be vocal. I understand it can come off, kind of condescending and rude, but when our defensive coaches have been constantly scheming terribly all season long, that's going to get to these players. When you mismanage players and don't use them correctly, other players see that. Look at what happened with Golden. Misused ever since we drafted him, and there's been countless other players that this has happened to.
That's what I've been saying, man.
Quite honestly, respectfully, and I completely agree. He held himself accountable at the end. He's like, I should have made the tackle, but when you're out there scheming wrong constantly, like these are these players' livelihoods. They can get cut off of you constantly scheming wrong and putting them out of position. That makes them look like a bad player, A player getting cut, they don't know if another team is going to pick them up. A lot of times these coaches are getting jobs left and right, and they're not even doing their jobs right. So these coaches need to be held in a high regard, and whenever they mess up, they need to speak about it. It doesn't need to be like constant locker room drama, but I'm just saying, like, I completely understand where he's coming from with how we've been scheming all year. This is the same coaching staff that was willing to go to a 3-4 without 3-4 pieces. That's all I got to say. Keep out.
All right, next call.
Hey, boys. Here in Chicago, stuck in traffic, getting cold. But yeah, Chicago kid, I know it's been a while. But listen to you guys all the time anyway.
What's good, man?
Big news.
He's in the Hyundai right now.
I'm a little bit different with people in the fact that I get really attached to my my guys on the team or associated with the team. You know I'm a Braves fan, Clemson fan, that kind of thing. So kind of sad about Ron, but when it comes down to it, it's about wins and losses, and that's really why I called. You guys know I'm in finance, commercial banking, so I deal with numbers and numbers and numbers. But as I've told you guys once before, this man Tepper, he's like one of the brightest financial minds on the planet. And one thing I'd want to throw out there is it's not just numbers, right? There's a large part to do with talent. So it's not like 1 + 1 = 2, that kind of thing. Like, for instance, in what I do, we have basically financial scouts all over the planet telling us what's happening in China, what's happening in, Australia, what's happening in Europe, that kind of thing. And that's really what I think Tepper's getting to. He's going to gamble a bit, because there is a certain amount of gambling when it comes to finance and business, that kind of thing. But he's also doing something that I haven't seen this team do in probably going on 10 years, from personnel down to the field. We've drafted a bunch of people. You guys have already mentioned this. We drafted a bunch of people, and we never got to see them. We never, saw them do anything. Golden is one of them. Scarlett, you mentioned another one. Greer this year. High picks that we never saw. So I think that's really what he's doing from the personnel down to the team. Otherwise, you guys just keep pounding. We'll see what happens, and we'll just do what we do. All right, guys. Later.
I kind of just wanted to take a second to comment on both of these calls. So the first call, I feel like, he was saying about the coaches need to be held accountable, and I think that both things are true. Like I said, Dante shouldn't run his mouth, but our coaches, they kind of haven't done a lot of great things for the younger guys on the football team, and I kind of feel like that's what the second call was saying too, that there are players on the football team that we draft and they just never get meaningful playing time. And my question to everyone else is, how are you supposed to grow as a football player if you're not ever allowed to grow and develop on the football field? I see so many other NFL teams, and they draft players and they're making an impact on the team right now. I mean, the Saints are doing it. The Chiefs are doing it. The Titans are doing it. I see so many fantastic first-year players, and it just seems like we had our opportunity at that with Brian Burns and even Dante Jackson last year, and then they fizzle out because of the coaching staff that we have. So I really do hope that our second caller is correct and that we're going to, start this whole thing brand new under David Tepper's guidance.
Well, I think for me, when it comes to Tepper, and I don't know if it was Masin Muhammad told somebody this, or what was some player I recently heard say, you need to dare to be great, right? Like, you can sit around and play around and be good, but being great takes risk. It takes you stepping. And have you ever heard the line that A students work for C students?
Yeah.
Right. Because the idea is that people who have never failed don't know how to fail, and what they do is the idea is that they avoid risk at all costs because of the fear of failure. Now, these are all just ultimately platitudes about these types of things, or anecdotal sayings, but I do think we can glean something from it, is that, and this has, I think, been Cody's point for over a year now when it comes to Ron Rivera, like, if you want to be good but not great at this point, then let's just stay with Rivera. Yeah. But if you want to dare to be great, it's time to move this franchise in a different direction. Now, that gets nerve-wracking when that conversation also goes to, like, well, does that mean daring to be so great that you trade people like Cam and Luke to move up and take does it have to be so drastic, right, of a risk? And that, I think, is where the unsettledness runs, is that, does it really take us tanking to get better, or is there a way to get better incrementally, quickly?
you know, and CK, if you want to go first, just let me know. But
you go ahead. I didn't catch the question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking that everything takes time, but boy, what a good draft will do for a football team, man. I'm telling you, if you look at that 2017 Saints draft, and trust me, my brother's a Saints fan. He lets me hear about it all the time. Like, they put a premium player at just about every position that they drafted that year. And they went from being a 7-9 football team to winning the division to being
what team is this?
The New Orleans Saints.
Oh, yeah. They had a good draft. What was that, 2 years ago?
100%. So there is no methodology. It takes this long to turn around a football team. I mean, it really just depends on who you have leading the organization, man. But this doesn't have to be a 5 or 6 year rebuild. There's absolutely no reason for that if you do it correctly and if you have the proper talent evaluators on your football team building a system that your team follows.
All right, I want to go on to – go ahead, CK.
I was going to say, look what Chris Ballard did with the Colts in such a short time.
Right, 100%.
If they had luck,
really
they could be really a lot better right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got obviously bad luck with that situation, no pun intended. But ultimately, I think the bottom line was when you look at them from 2016 to 2017, or 2017 to 2018, it is like two completely different teams. And it all started with that draft class with, Quentin Nelson, with Darius Leonard, with, Marlon Mack. I mean, they in a matter of 2 seasons, they basically built a entire all-pro team almost with a, quarterback that's able to run it. That's kind of slipped a little bit with the downgrade from Luck to Brissett. But, I mean, it's just a prime example of a rebuild doesn't have to be a depressing decade.
Right. 100%.
Now back to Chicago Kids call too on playing young players. One of the things, and Bill Daughtry, who's in the chat, and I getting closer to pronouncing your name right. I know that it was closer this time, but I don't think it. Bill D. Bill D sent me a message on Twitter and Facebook today, and he said this. He said, "I'm torn on Greer playing. Do I want to see Allen sit for the rest of the season? Yes, but do I want to see Greer get his ass kicked behind a crappy, torn-up O-line? I want to see if Greer is worth his salt, but we need some tools in front of him that would allow us to give him a fair grade. With the way this O-line has been, I bet Cam would be having issues. Anyway, keep pounding and catch you on Stitcher." Now, thanks, Bill. He's in the chat room right now for the comment. And it's also something that Chicago Kid hinted on, too. He mentioned Will Greer among the names. Now, one of the things that we've talked about for years is that we kind of felt like the fingerprints of this problem were Ron Rivera's to a certain degree, that he's always been better with veterans. He's had difficulty coaching, see him when it's time to pull the trigger on the guy who practices well versus the guy who has talent at the moment. And the joke has always been from Cody is that, if Amina Silatulu wouldn't have gotten hurt, he still would be starting for the Carolina Panthers. So where I am at on this, now there's been a lot of talk and discussion, and we've been part of that talk of whether Will Greer should start to get time. And there's been some articles that have gone a couple of different ways, and the public stance right now from the Carolina Panthers is that Kyle Allen is their guy. He gives them the best chance to win. And there's this weird kind of, I don't know, we don't want to throw him under the bus. Well, it's not even weird. I think they just don't want to throw him under the bus when they know the whole team sucks. But what else do you do with the final 4 games when you can't make the playoffs? There's an article on the Roaring Riot about this today that I saw, and let me pull it up. It said this. This is a quote from Will Greer. He said, "I think I've gotten a lot better. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. Without taking reps, you have to be able to learn and grow and watch and try to soak in as much as I can. So I'm trying the best I can." How do you win? When else?
Another subtle jab, in my opinion.
When else is the time to give these guys reps? If these games are meaningless right now, The meaning right now is to evaluate any and every nook and cranny of the roster, because right now it's on the verge of everybody being cut.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. I mean, the points that I think that are fair from the other side of Greer not starting immediately is if he comes in and he's not able to do well, guess what's going to happen next year? He is not going to have an opportunity at all. And do you want him to come into a system now and that clearly has not been efficient and effective with the way that it's been run, with a defense that can't keep offenses from scoring, if I could speak. And now you have to force Greer to actually force balls and basically carry the team. Do you want to put him in a position where he ruins his confidence because you're so anxious to see what he has to offer? Or do you want to put him in the best possible situation, which in some, and I'm not going to sit here and try to compare him to Rodgers or Garoppolo, which Garoppolo is kind of a mixed bag in my opinion, or even,
if he was Garoppolo, we would be jumping for joy right now.
Well, and that's the thing is Garoppolo was, it's kind of the same thing. You develop behind a veteran. And I think that if you put that into perspective, what if next year, or even a couple years, when Cam Newton is no longer the face, if it happens to be next year, then great. Obviously not so happy for us, but we'll go ahead and we'll have an answer. We'll be able to move on from this whole discussion. But at that point in time, do we then find out what we actually have in Will Grier, because he's had an opportunity to learn? The problem is he hasn't been learning behind a veteran. He's been learning behind Kyle Allen, and that's where I think the problem runs.
But the problem I have with that is that I feel like we're treating him like he's a delicate piece of china, and we're so scared to drop him and break him. Why don't we just put him out there for the final 3 games and say this: we will not learn all of what Will Grier is. By the end of the 3 games, we won't know exactly who he is. But he will have an opportunity to be getting better, and we will also have kind of a barometer of where to start on grading him.
Well, but I mean, think about if you're the Patriots. Tom Brady got suspended 4 games for Deflategate, and then Jimmy Garoppolo came in and played well, and then that caused other teams to want to inquire about Jimmy Garoppolo. How are we? Okay, no one really thinks that Will Grier is going to be the future of the franchise. But even if you felt that he might be, at this point in time, there is literally no reason for us not to be playing him. One, for him to show and prove that he can get some meaningful reps in and run the offense effectively, so that way you can feel confident about him moving forward into next year as your potential starter. Or you show the NFL, hey, you know what? If the Panthers selected Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa or whatever sometime in the near future, we have another quarterback on the roster that teams would happily give up a 2nd or 3rd round pick for, and that adds to our ability to build the football team. There's no reason to not play him now. We know who Kyle Allen is. Let Will Grier play football. That's what he was drafted to do.
Bill Daughtry says this: if Grier plays, or he asked this, if Grier plays, what is the baseline to consider him a success?
I don't think you can have a baseline for success this late in the year. I mean, honestly, I think
for him, I would say this: to look competent. That's it. I mean, at any point, if you look like you are not, the situation is too big for you, that would be a success.
To look like you've made progress is honestly, because what we saw from preseason is he was throwing the ball directly to defenders, making very bad decisions.
Well, so is Kyle Allen.
Yeah, both of them were.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that, we wanted to sit here and crown Kyle Allen because he came in and he was successful, even though he had a horrible, horrible preseason. It was not good at all. But I think that you have to put him in. But one of the things you said is, why can't we put him in and say, we can't really know that this is going to be all that Will Grier is. as Panthers fans, we're going to be immediately judging him even after the first quarter. He is going to be already cemented in people's minds if he plays one quarter of bad football as the quarterback that is not going to be a starter next year.
But the coaching staff should have the wisdom, though, to know that that's not the case. What I mean is this is an opportunity for him to get some just reps, even if they're bad.
What about the fact that Scott Turner was the quarterback coach? He's the offensive coordinator now, and he's still keeping Kyle Allen in. He was the direct coach of these guys, and they're still going with Kyle Allen. And that's going to be a decision that Scott Turner made, not the one that Perry Fuel made.
Do you think it happens before the end of the season?
No, I really don't. Because I think there's a very real scenario that Will Grier is even behind the curve on where they thought he would be at this point in his development. Now, I don't know this because no one knows this, and we're not going to know
They don't even know it because they don't even give him reps.
But my point is, let's say they're not giving him reps because he's genuinely not taking the next step even in practice, then you better damn sure hope Cam Newton comes back to the Carolina Panthers, because that does not bode well for our front office's ability to identify a starting caliber quarterback.
Here's the problem with that, Cody, and Ron Rivera said this in a press conference when Kyle Allen and they asked Ron Rivera this, is they said that he doesn't get reps in practice. So he can't show if he's getting better or not. The only practice he gets is maybe running scout team occasionally, right, for the other team. And second, book work, is he studying his playbook? Is he talking in the meetings a lot? Well, what I'm saying is, in the regular season, the practices are very formulaic, and that is, you're going to do a practice, then you're going to do a run through, then you're going to do an install. I don't know what the order is, but there's no extra time for all right, well, let's bring out the twos and see how they're doing.
Right.
They're just hold my beer the whole time. And so that's the thing, is I don't know, how can they truly even have an idea of how he's progressing when they're not really trying to see?
And again, I mean, I just want to make it a point to make sure that we're all in agreement here that this is now the third player that have taken subliminal shots. Dante Jackson took a very overt shot at our coaching staff. But Brian Burns, earlier in the season, when they asked him about his reps, said, "Oh, my hand's been fine for a while now."
Oh, yeah, okay, that's right. Don't forget that one.
That was shot number one. Will Grier now saying, "Oh, well, it's hard to grow when you're not getting any reps." That's shot number two. And then we're already talking about Dante Jackson. I mean,
and we're trying to read if Cam took any. There's some ways that you're trying to read into that. Was Cam? I need to step up. Who knows? All right, let's go to the next call. You guys cover the call. I got to go hold my beer while I get another beer. All right.
Gotcha, Professor.
All right, this is Ryan from Preston. Sorry. Yep. I dedicate the phone call to the professor, a.k.a. the jockstrap washer.
Oh, God.
What the hell are you thinking with a comment like that, man? All right. Anyways. I also believe y'all are reading too much into what David Tipper's saying. He seems pretty damn transparent.
You guys got to keep filming in about this.
I'll be right back. He would have fired Marty Herney already. I mean, if you fire Marty Herney right now, that doesn't really affect anything as far as what's on the field. He keeps saying, "I'm going to put people in a position to win, to succeed," and I believe wholeheartedly when he says, Marty Herney has one of the best eyes for talent. I do believe that. For every damn Rashawn Golden he's picked, he's managed to snagger Greg Hardy in the later rounds. For every Will Grier, he's picked up a Ryan Cleo in the later rounds, because Ryan Cleo, I think, was a late second, early third round pick. So he has a good eye for talent. What I believe he's saying is he's going to hire VP and a COO of the general manager area to deal with the more financial side of things as far as contract negotiations. And I believe he's just going to make up a position and promote Marty Herney to just solely focus on the talent and scouting aspect of the football game. And I believe if we just do that, Marty Herney will actually give us better drafts than what he's given us in the past. I would actually appreciate it if Herney just focused on drafting folks opposed to negotiating contracts, because he's put in some bad positions before. And he's probably going to do it again if he continues to be the full general manager of things. That's just my thoughts. I have no facts. For all I know, he could freaking fire the guy at the end of the season or after the draft. I don't know. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on that. And, yeah, keep on.
All right, sorry, I was busy getting the jock straps.
As is your job, you know.
Do your job.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I was just gonna say he's basically just kind of disputing our point about how Tepper feels about Marty Herney that we were talking about last week, and which is fine because I mean it's a fair. What
did he say? Did he say that Marty Herney is like the future? Please don't say he said that.
What he's saying is that he's going to keep him around just in a different position. But if he was going to fire him, he would have already fired him. And I mean, it's a fair argument. He's absolutely right. I mean, he could have just. But I don't think it would have been smart to fire your GM and your head coach in the same week.
Right, in the same day without a paddle. Yeah. That's like throwing the paddle out and the life vest at the same time. But here's the thing: is Herney did not get a promotion.
No.
And I mean, it's hard to get a promotion when you're general manager. So, but I think this is clearly a signal that they're moving in for a future without Marty Herney doing more than bridging us till next year, and we can get new scouts. You've heard rumors that they've fired all the scouting staff and all of this.
Yeah. Did you hear the interview that David Tepper did after the Ron Rivera press conference? So there's the one that he did with Bill Voth. And then there was the one in front of the Panthers banner where they do all the interviews in Bank of America Stadium, and all the reporters were around him. And he's talking about Herney, and he says, "Oh, I think Marty Herney's a great talent evaluator." And he goes, "Oh, well, maybe not great, but he's a good talent evaluator." Like, he actually said that. He said great, stopped himself, and then changed it to good. Dude, it's like, this is kind of what I feel, and that kind of adds to what you thought about it. They're going to bring in another guy that they're going to groom to be the general manager until they're ready to gracefully let go of Marty Herney like they did.
Which will be after the draft. That's what it's going to be.
Which will be sometimes, especially if David Tepper finds a guy that he's in love with. So right now the rumor mill is Kevin Colbert, who is a big time. I don't know if he's the GM, but he works for the Steelers.
Yeah, he's on a 1-year contract on purpose, like so he can get a job.
So, dude, if Kevin Colbert is on the way to Carolina, dude, bye, Marty. Thanks for your time here, bro. And that's it, you know.
I think I'm right. I'm right on all this. I'm 100% right, and I'm the best jock strap washer out there in the world, because I tell you what's going to happen. My fear around this time that they were going to announce that Cam Newton was getting surgery. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Cam Newton goes under the knife, gets his, what is it again? His, whatever it is, not the meniscus. What's the injury again? Liz Frank, that's right. So the idea then, but they say somehow they're now qualifying this as not as bad, like not the full Liz Frank. So now I got the fear of this. This is now my new fear, guys, when it comes to Cam Newton. Just like his first shoulder surgery was not a full gut and clean out job. It was a partial, right? I hope that this isn't a repeat of that, a partial fix to a problem. Yeah. No. But look, Cam went under a knife on Monday, and that was my fear. And I told you that Tepper was phasing Marty Herney out. And I do think that brings us to this. Look, there's 73 viewers on the show right now, and our team sucks. That means we've got great fans right now. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the show. Call in 252-228-5098. Give us your thoughts on Herney, on Tepper, on the direction of this team. And what I want to talk about, Cody, is you said the rumor mill for GM. I heard another good pairing, and it was an NFL.com article, I believe. And it was somebody that was pretty good. Like, they were a decent writer, not trying to. It was a very thorough article. You know who I saw it was, and it might have been the Boston Globe, actually. Billy Marshall is the one that tagged it. And in this, what one of the things is that right now Nick Cassero and Josh McDaniels could exit together. And this is my new desire. This is what I want. This is my dream, other than Lincoln Riley, is to screw the evil empire.
I was about to ask you, so other than just them being associated with the Patriots, why is that your dream get? Is it
because I think screwing the Patriots is one, but I do think here as a real reason is I do have some hesitations when it comes to Josh McDaniels because of what he did to the Colts. Like, that just didn't seem like a square deal for him, where he took the job, they go and announce it, and then he backs out. I thought that was a kind of shitty move. But obviously New England was trying to tell him something. But I think that, look, as New England has had continued success when it comes to personnel, and so it just seems like everybody always works. And, I mean, look, their worst pick, it feels like, in a decade has been Sony Michel. Yeah, and he's awesome. He's just hurt all the time. And I think that Josh McDaniels, one thing I like is that he had a failed experience in Denver. And it wasn't all bad, his experience in Denver. There were some bright spots, but I think he probably got to learn and mature in the next couple of years, where it could be kind of like a Belichick-esque thing. Remember when he gets fired from the Browns, and then he was terrible then all of a sudden he's better. And he studied under the master, dude. He's like the dark Sith.
Yeah, but people think that about a lot of Patriots coaches. And then it doesn't end up turning out quite the same way. But listen, I'm not going to play the contrarian. If you were to tell me tomorrow that Josh McDaniels and Nick Caserio are coming to Carolina, I'm genuinely happy with that move. I'm not bitching about that. I'm not
upset.
I'm not complaining about that at all. I still don't think it's the most likely one to happen, but dude, opinions are just like assholes in this situation. Everyone has one, and no one really knows what's going on, what David Tepper is going to do. I don't think that they're the favorites if I was a betting man, but like I said, I'm not mad at that. And if they're ever going to move on from the New England Patriots and really have an opportunity to implement things their own way, what better time and what better owner than the Carolina Panthers with David Tepper? It's like a perfect match.
Well, while I can agree with you on that, the only thing I have, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the coaches at all, it's just kind of I don't know. There's no evidence backing this other than the fact that every coach that's left New England to go do something somewhere else has failed horribly. Like, name one New England coach who was under Belichick that's gone out and done a great job wherever he's at.
I think maybe there are three of them, and your opinions on all three of them might be up in the air. It's Romeo Crennel, who's a defensive coordinator. It's Bill O'Brien, who's currently the head coach of the Texans, and Mike Vrabel.
And Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, too.
Right. I wouldn't put Matt Patricia as being successful. I think that when you look at what the Tennessee Titans
I just thought you were listing the tree.
Well, no, I'm not even. I'm saying they're probably, out of all the ones that have left, I think Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel and Mike Vrabel are probably have had the most success. And then other than that, it's kind of it's been Pitts. But to that, when I evaluate talent for draft tech for and college football players, I never try and judge a player based off of what another player before him couldn't do. So I remember before we drafted Brian Burns, defensive ends from Florida State never work out. Well, none of those guys were Brian Burns either. So I don't know.
Well, USC receivers don't work out either. No, I am one of those guys.
Juju Smith-Schuster is.
I do want to take a real time out and just say this. Time out. Good night, Susan. Happy birthday. Thanks for the donation. We'll see you Sunday. Go back to the mic. Go on, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, I just want, my general rule is I want to make sure that we evaluate people for their own merits and not kind of based on, well, it's from the Patriots and other Patriots players haven't done well before. We got to judge people based on what they've done and what they bring to the table from their own unique perspective.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And that's why I was saying it's nothing they can control or has anything to do with what could happen with them in the future. It's just looking at the past. And I honestly wouldn't consider Romeo Crennel a really successful head coach. I wouldn't really consider Mike Vrabel a really successful one. I mean, they're good. He's a good coach.
Yeah.
And Bill O'Brien.
Well, he's new. He's new too, and he's doing good in the back end of this season. All of a sudden, now they're on fire right now.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, they're not like really super successful coaches. So
they made the playoffs last year.
And that's kind of why I mentioned them, because even like you can make your arguments for and against them being good coaches based on what they've done. So it's kind of a little bit of both in that standpoint.
Right.
Okay. Let's go back to the rumor mill, and then we'll get back into the calls. Have you guys heard this other one about potentially trading for Mike Tomlin? Yes, now, to kind of just piggyback this, Cody, is who's the guy's name from Pittsburgh again?
Colbert?
Yeah. So here is we talked about the Caserio McDaniels duo. Is the Colbert Tomlin duo doable?
So let me, if I may, just sort of put it this way. I'm a fan of Mike Tomlin. If you look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers have done, they've only missed the playoffs like 1 or 2 times in like 9 or 10 years, something crazy like that. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers now, they've lost Ben Roethlisberger, lost Le'Veon Bell, lost Antonio Brown, and they're the 6th wild card spot in the AFC right now. And they started very slow. I would love to have Mike Tomlin on the Carolina Panthers, but that article was talking about sending draft picks to Pittsburgh and trying to move around a bunch of pieces and trade for them. And right now, our roster isn't in a position where we can afford to throw away that kind of draft capital on a coach right now. There has to be a legitimate football team for that coach to coach. And we're not that kind of football team right now. But that said, if it was a situation where Tomlin was available, I would be all for it, but that's not what it is.
I wonder, is that I don't think that we have the luxury of sacrificing draft picks, and I don't think it is, like you said, I think that's a great point, is that we're not one piece away.
No.
Right? NC Hager 22 says, Tony, you're going to wear some small hands and go as Allen to the game instead of Granny Cam. I'd have to dress like a teenager, which I do already. So actually, that's somebody else said that is I look like a teenager. Look like I'm 12 going on 50. So I look young and I'm old. Hey, that's a good thing right there. That's a good thing. I think, you know what? I just kind of all of a sudden just got intrigued by the idea of these package deals. Like some continuity coming over. I think that would be cool. I think this is like, if they fire Tomlin, then we better. I think jumping on him would be great. If they will take cash for him, Tepper's got the money to make that happen. We don't have the luxury of doing some draft picks, though. Like, we just don't. We've got too many spots to fill. And if anything, we need draft picks rather than losing them.
Especially if.
What about this? What if you traded Cam for Tomlin and they gave us a draft pick?
They're going to be in the play. They might be in the playoffs, so their first round draft pick's not going to be that great.
Well, and they don't have one because they traded. They traded.
What if they gave us a second and Tomlin for Cam?
Nah,
no deal, man. I'm not into it. And like I said, I really do think Mike Tomlin is probably the most underrated head coach in the NFL. I know he gets a lot of shit for the Steelers locker room and having AB in it. I couldn't imagine having Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger in the same locker room.
Oh my gosh,
Jesus, dude,
that takes a big, that takes a big man to manage
but doesn't
that.
That say something about
Yes,
Mike Tomlin?
I think so.
He's been able to overcome that. I think so too. And like I said, I would love to have the man, but not knowing what we're going to do at the quarterback position. If we're going forward with Cam Newton, let's just say we're trying to get into the race for Trevor Lawrence. You definitely don't want to be missing 1 or 2 picks in the first round. You just don't do that.
Tin Tizzy says we don't know if Tepper is one of those owners that wanted Tomlin gone. That's interesting. How about this? All right, so first of all, I hate even saying the words trade Cam. But what about
We're
this
saying
one?
it very cavalier now. Do you notice that? Like before, it was like something we didn't even utter. Now we're all kind of talking about.
Oh, I know. I don't want it to happen, and I don't think it should. But I do think we have to.
Yeah, we've all come around to the fact that it's more and more possible all the time.
How about this? This is the one. This is the one that I would think about. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Tomlin for Cam. and a draft pick and a second rounder.
That
would be awesome, dude. We would get a safety. We need a safety. It would be awesome, but because we would lose Cam, that's like the shitty part. But that's the only. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't even know what trading for a coach even looks like. The last time it happened was Gruden, right?
Well, I tell you what I'd rather do other than that. To be honest with you, if you're talking about trading Cam away to the Steelers and you're wanting Tomlin, you might as well trade for Roethlisberger too and have at least a quarterback that's going to get through the next few years.
Roethlisberger wants to retire. No, he wants to retire every year. Every year, and now he's hurt.
Well, what's Cam?
No,
Cam's hurt.
I'm not having a rapist on my team.
Okay, I can't argue against that.
How about that? Is that if we got a problem with Eric Reed being on the team, which I don't. If we got a problem with Greg Hardy getting all coked up and him and his girlfriend getting in an argument,
how about this?
Then we got to get upset about Roethlisberger raping a chick in the bathroom.
Even from a football perspective, though, Greg, you're talking about moving the wrong direction. We're getting old. We're getting older and not younger. And I think that with the winds of change blowing here in Carolina, to say that we're going to do all these new things and then go get Ben Roethlisberger is very kind of, cut off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. So, I'm not too happy on bringing in a veteran at all. It's either
Yod says Tomlin's about to be in the playoffs. He ain't leaving. And Josh from Mass says maybe we can trade Tony to Buffalo for a 6-pack.
Damn, they roasting your ass, Tony.
They always are all over my ass. They love me.
It's just fun to do, man.
All right, next call. 252-228-5098.
All right, I got another one for you.
Okay.
Remember Ring of Fire?
I
don't think this one's as good, but here we go anyway. Oh, where can the Panthers be? Oh, where can they be? I ain't seen them since the Packers game, and we didn't even win that.
Oh my ring! That is. How about this? You guys want to roast me now? Next call,
guys.
This.
I kind of already wrote this season off.
This might have been the first goal.
The third quarter point of the Falcons game or so. I mean, we were playing real bad.
The first Falcons game, I hope you mean.
Yeah.
So, I was listening to the Around the NFL podcast, and Chris Westling mentions that Dwayne Haskins has a sack issue. Well, I'm glad our quarterback never left the game due to a sack injury.
Oh, what?
Sack.
Like he hurt his sack?
No,
or
I
he
think
got
means
sacked?
Being sacked too many times, I think. That's a good podcast around the NFL podcast.
All right.
I think that's what he was talking about. But
Next call. Don't hurt your sack, or else I won't wash your dang jockstrap.
That's nice.
Hi guys, Rich here in London. It's been a couple of weeks. So Rob's
Rich,
gone.
how are you, brother?
Seems like a wonderful guy, judging by everything said, and I know you've discussed it a lot. But just sometimes the voice gets old, and I think that happened. It sounds like that with the whole coaching staff. I see Mike McCarthy has been very vocal and trying to pretend that he's, well, I don't know if you have the phrase, but you can't polish a turd. I know he did well for a while in Green Bay.
I love that phrase.
I think the fan base will probably revolt if we go for an old school guy. I think something new, something to excite us. Someone, trick plays are happening all over the place, and we've certainly got the players for trick plays. And they work a lot of the time and do fun things. I'm so over Kyle Allen. I wish the guy all the best, and I think he might make a good backup for us. But, oh my God, poor old Curtis Samuel. If I have to read any other flipping analyst or commentator telling us how bad Curtis Samuel's been this year, it's like, yeah, no one can get him the ball. No one can actually throw deep to Curtis Samuel. The guy's been doing just sprint reps all year. Anyway, yeah, little bugbear. Otherwise, some reasonable things around the place. So I'll throw it to Cody. Obviously, we're starting looking at the draft again. I just tweeted Cody and I said, if we're picking anywhere around 10, 11, 12, we've got to trade back. We need to be looking to move back to the late teens and pick up either an early second with it or another first, like get 19 and 28 or something like that, or 19 and 34 and stuff. We screwed last year's draft so badly. You remember me saying, trading up for Greg Little.
I remember,
and
he was
having
mad.
no pick between 38 and 100, which we then spent on Greer. We then got Christian Miller, which is okay, but we haven't really needed him. Then we went with Jordan Scarlett. It's nothing against the players, but I mean, basically we've had Brian Burns and Dennis Daly have been productive from last year's draft. It's crazy. And we missed out on, look at one Thornhill.
Yes.
Dalton Reisner is anchoring the Broncos line, and we could have had him instead of Greg Little. I think Little will be all right. It's not so much on the players, but the way we went about it. And I said to you that at 77, which had been our pick, the Patriots took Chase Winovich. He has the same number of sacks as Brian Burns. I know he's not as good a player, but we could have had
because they're playing.
Anyway, I'm running out of time. Guys, love the program. Slightly depressing season, but let's keep fingers crossed for Cam. Keep pounding.
Fantastic call, Rich. Thanks for tuning in to the show each and every week. Great supporter across the pond. Cody, I think that what I like about that call right there is that he is able to separate that being critical of the draft from being critical of these exact players. So, hey, Greg Little might be great for all we know, but it's kind of reminiscent to me of the year that we traded up to get Devin Funchess. It's not only about getting the guy you want, but there's a lot of other potential guys that could be contributors too that you missed out unnecessarily. Now, I don't know if we would have been able to get Greg. I like the aggressive move and getting the guy you think is the guy there, but I do think that and I've said this over and over, that Will Grier was selected prematurely. And it's not and then, like he said, by that time, then you go Scarlett, and Dennis Daly is the only guy you get that's contributing on this team other than Brian Burns. That's insane.
Yeah, it really is infuriating. And I tweeted out to Rich earlier, it's incredible that it's already mock draft season for Panther fans. But that's the truth of it, man. That's where we are right now. And, Tony...
we're lucky we weren't there 5 weeks ago. There, CK, remember that? CK, when Cam got hurt and you sent me the message that, oh, shit, we got to go to all these games?
Yeah, I do remember that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're lucky that we didn't start this conversation in week 5.
Yeah, we are. We're very fortunate. But... before we get into the we need to trade down or we need to, acquire some more picks. You really need to wait. I mean, the draft in and of itself is something that I love so much because it's a game within itself. That's why I always thought it would be so fun to be a GM on draft night. You're having to see where players go off the board. You're picking up the phone for trades coming in. You're having to navigate during the course of a draft the future of your franchise. And I love it. I get super into it every year. That's why I write for Draft Tech and I evaluate.
Who are you mocking to us right now? Who are you mocking to the Panthers right now?
Right. And of course you would ask me this because, to all my C3 fans, you'll get a sneak preview. But tomorrow we have a brand new mock draft coming up on Draft Tech, and I have us taking Isaiah Simmons. Now, Isaiah Simmons is from Clemson. I'm not just, and I did not, honestly, I did.
Yeah, and we're gonna. One day we're gonna be the Carolina Clemson Tigers.
Well, no, but how Draft Tech does it is I didn't even select the player. I adjusted the algorithm based on what position I prioritize. So he's a linebacker safety hybrid. I put that as a high priority on our list, and then it kind of finds the player for us. Isaiah Simmons is probably the most athletic player in the country right now. And if any of you watch some of the college football games coming up at the end of this month and you watch some Clemson, you're going to hear the name Isaiah Simmons over and over and over. He has the potential to be that Jalen Smith from Dallas kind of player, that long, fast, agile linebacker. Think almost as like a Derwin James almost. Derwin James played that safety position, incredibly rangy, can cover tight ends down the seam.
We wanted him so bad, by the way. Do you remember when I was banging the table for Derwin James that year?
I know. And
who'd we take? Did we get Chris McCaffrey that year?
That year,
or was it DJ Moore?
DJ Moore. But I promise you, as you start to know the names as draft time comes around, you will know the name Isaiah Simmons. That's a promise. Mm-hmm. And considering we don't know how much longer Luke Kuechly is going to continue to play football, that might be the perfect heir apparent to number 59. So it's still so early. But right now, if you have a top 10 or top 15 pick, it's hard to pass up on a premier player to move back a little bit.
I tell you, one person that's not scared to do that is Marty Herney, because he selected Luke Kuechly when we thought we didn't need any linebackers, and it turned out we did, and he was great, and so that was another feather in Herney's cap right before he got fired. I think that was his last year as GM when he called, when he had Luke. All right, so
I
CK.
think Luke has at least one more contract in him.
Maybe so.
Brian Urlacher retired when he was 34. And, we got another 6 years before, Luke's at that age. So I think we have one more big contract out of him, and I think he has a lot more in the tank to give. I just think that he needs to get the correct scheme back around him and a group of players that are able to execute, because that's where the problem is there's a failure across the board when it comes to the run defense. I don't think it really falls entirely on Kuechly. As much as we see him making mistakes, I think it's going to happen when it's a 50-50 shot that he's going to make one because somebody else is missing their gap.
Yeah, and
But he's been making real mistakes too, though. I know that it almost sounds like I'm being hard on Luke Kuechly. It's just things are so bad, even Luke Kuechly's not great.
All right.
That's crazy. That's just weird.
Hey,
and I do think it's one of those scenarios where when you see players playing bad, you're more likely to look at the stars playing bad too, and you miss everyone else. But yeah,
I don't know. I'm looking at all of them playing bad.
Hey, I do want to point out real quick while we're talking about the draft. Right now, as it sits, if the season ended, we'd be picking 11th. Okay, but the difference between 11th and all the way down to the third draft is only two wins. 3 games left, and the teams are the Redskins has the 3rd pick. They have a tiebreaker with us. They play the Eagles next week. They could win that game. The Dolphins have 3 wins. They play the Giants. They can win that game. The Lions play the Bucks. They have 3 wins. They can win that game. The Cardinals play the Browns. They have 3 wins. They can win that game. And the Cardinals have a tie. So even if they had as many wins as us, the tie would be better than a loss, so they'd go under us. The Jags play the Raiders next week. They have 4 wins. So all the way down to the 7th pick, we're only talking about, or down to the 3rd pick, we're only talking about a difference of 2 wins. And these guys all have winnable games. We can have a top 5 pick if we were to lose out and things were to fall in the right place.
Man, let me tell you, if we have a top 5 pick, dude, that's some different kind of talent.
I'm just saying, the way the season's playing out, and the teams that are there.
CK, does that mean we stand up and cheer on 3rd down when on our offense has the ball? Like, we're like, go! False start! Yeah, is that? Do we have to cheer for the Seahawks next week?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how funny would that be? Is if next week, for whatever reason, we happen to pull out a win? How depressing is that going to be walking out of that stadium? At that point in time, like, what was the point of this win? Like, let's be honest.
I'll bet you almost anything the Carolina Panthers win at least one more game this season.
No way.
New Orleans.
We got Seattle, the Colts,
New Orleans
and who
there
else?
at the end, and New Orleans is going to be in a situation where they're probably going to have the 1st round bye, and it's very possible that last week doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they're resting players at that point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They could rest Drew Brees, and they could beat us with Teddy.
But it only doesn't matter, too, if they have home field advantage. I think just a 1st-round bye is going to – if they have the chance to grab home field advantage, they probably will.
I don't think they're resting. Yeah, they're fighting at this point to keep up. That's interesting. That's going to be messed up. CK, the irony of that. The irony is that you know how you walk down the ramp after a game and it's fun during a win and it's terrible during a loss? The ramp walk would be opposite. We will be upset after a win.
I know. Exactly. It's like it's going to be the most silent stadium when the defense is on. It's going to be keep pounding, and literally the only sound is going to be from the speakers when they do the keep pound.
Everybody's else like, no.
Yeah,
we want a top 5 pick.
You might see people that are Seattle fans doing the keep pounding just because, like, they feel bad.
Crazy.
But I just wanted to pinpoint a comment in our chat room real quick because I see this a lot. I just want to make sure that people know just how unrealistic it is. My man and good friend of the show, Brad Dugan, says they figure the top 5 pick in the draft. Trade up for Joe Burrow. And I've seen this a lot. A lot of people are saying trade up for Joe Burrow. That is never going to happen. Not because the not because the Panthers wouldn't do it, but you would have to have the infinity gauntlet to pry the 1st-round pick away from the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Joe Burrow is from Ohio, and they're about to draft Joe Burrow to be their franchise. The Joe Burrow is the number 1 pick to the Bengals. The dude's gonna win the Heisman. If the Cincinnati Bengals are dumb enough to trade away from Joe Burrow, then they deserve every bad thing that comes to them.
What if they're dumb enough to not pick him, and then you trade to the Giants?
I would bet you the wheelchair that my cripple ass sits in, Joe Burrow, goes number 1 to the Cincinnati Bengals. If I'm lying, I'm dying, dude. That's it.
I think you're right.
Written,
you think you're right.
It is.
I think you're right.
The Panthers are not. If you're looking at a quarterback, you're looking at either Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert. You better start making your druthers.
What if both of those guys are just there on our natural pick?
I mean, we have some real questions to answer coming up here soon, man.
That'd be great. All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Fellow Panther Nation.
Is this the man from North Carolina?
I get it when I can. So who's going to be the charge here now? I mean, there's not. I mean, what the fuck's going on? I mean, personally, in my opinion, it should have started with lower end, OC, DC.
Oh, he's still on the Ron
Have
Rivera train.
Restructuring, not with Ron. Big Cone, what do we do? I mean, what the fuck do we do? Got
This
to
man
wait on another fucking
is in despair over Ron Rivera.
10 years, go to the goddamn Super Bowl and lose? I don't know. Sorry for the GD. But, I mean, come on, man. You gotta be real, man. I mean, I know it's a business. And
He's so sad about Ron.
I'll say it, I said in my comments. Nobody wants to come here. No big-time players do not want to come here. Because we're a shit market. We're a small market.
That is true. He's got a little bit of truth behind that.
There's nothing to do here.
There's a lot to do, but not compared to New York City.
Well, I point out that
want to come.
There's been a lot of people who signed.
All right, let's stop the call there. Go ahead, CK.
I was just saying, there's a lot of players who even this offseason who had better opportunities to go to New York and go to the Ravens and to Cleveland where they might have better, and they still decided to come here. I think you have a lot more. I think even beyond the market, you've got to think about Charlotte from this perspective. They're going to get taxed a hell of a lot less in Charlotte than they are in New York. I promise you.
Right.
I promise you.
And players are going to go where they see a winning team being built. So, for example, Jarvis Landry went to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, the Browns are a bad team because they're a bad coached football team. And honestly, I think Baker Mayfield is showing you that he's not really a carry the team on his shoulders kind of quarterback. But listen, if we bring in a head coach that knows what he's doing and we draft good players and we have a franchise quarterback, if you look at the team that's ready to win football games and they're offering you a contract to come play there, dude, people are going to come to Charlotte, man. Gerald McCoy did it this year. Bruce Irvin did it this year. Matt Paradis this year. And to Mario Hernandez's credit, I think that was at a time when we didn't really have a lot of money to even be working with. And he still managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat and land some important pieces to our roster right now. So, yeah, we're in Charlotte, but it's the fastest growing city in the South. We represent 2 states. People are going to come to Carolina if you put the pieces in place.
No.
Well, I think the small market thing is a remnant of the past. And I'm not saying that Charlotte is not a small market. What I'm saying is I think that big markets in a world before the internet meant a lot more. And now you have a way to go beyond that. So I don't necessarily – I mean, really, the only thing is if Charlotte was a bad city to live in, which it's not, right? So there's nothing to do. It's nice restaurants, nice schools. It's a great place to raise your family type thing. So that's going for it. But really, you know where football players go? Where the damn money is. And you know why they haven't come to Carolina? Because we ain't paid none of them.
We haven't got money. And we've never gone after, when's the last big name, free agent?
Matt Paradis is the biggest free agent name we've had in 12 years.
Yeah.
Before Greg Olsen, I would say, yeah.
It was, you know who it was before that? Ken Lucas. Who got his nose broke by damn Steve Smith. The number's 252-228-5098.
Good evening, Tony and Cody. Got a question for you guys. You astute Panthers super fans. Who do you think is the best coach in Carolina Panthers history? You got George Seifert, Don Capers, John Fox, Ron Rivera.
Yeah, we're
Who is the best coach in your opinion? Now, I go with John Fox because he never had a Cam Newton. He never had a Luke Kuechly. He never had the superstar players or the league MVP. So that's why I would choose John Fox over Ron Rivera. You know, Ron Rivera has the most wins in franchise history. But let me know your thoughts. Who would you pick as the greatest coach in Carolina Panthers history?
Who did I
Thank
say?
you,
I said
and
it was
keep
like
on,
Dom.
guys,
I
doing a
said
great
somebody
job.
stupid,
I wish I
like
could say the same for our team.
who wasn't a coach. I said it's somebody that wasn't even our coach. He said so. It was George Seifer. Was it Dom Capers?
Dom Capers, yeah.
George Fox, John Fox, and Ron Rivera. I don't know, man. I feel like you guys take it. I don't know. I want to. I feel like I got to say Ron Rivera.
Well, I feel like I'm not so suited to answer this question. And like I said, I know the history. I mean, I've been aware of John Fox and Jake Delhomme forever, man. Even before I was like, crazy about the Panthers. I was always aware of everyone, but I mean, listen, I'm very biased. 2015, for my life, there has never been a more magical, better season where I've had more fun watching football. And if I'm going to give credit to Luke Kuechly and Cam Newton, well, I'm also going to give credit to Ron Rivera for being the coach of a team that almost went undefeated. So, and if you look at the numbers, no one has more wins than Ron Rivera. He is officially the winningest head coach in Panthers history. So I cast my vote for Ron Rivera. I don't think it's a tall list of names to go on, but I would still say Ron.
You know, I'm actually going to agree with the caller. I think it's John Fox for the very reason he said. Is first, he didn't have a Cam Newton, and if you know the people that I've gotten criticism from in 2015, the defense wasn't even good according to them. It was just Cam Newton's show, which is not. I mean, there was a lot to it. I think there's a good point there. Ron was along for the ride and part of that. But I think there's a couple of years. Remember that year that John Fox won like 10 games or something when we just had the double trouble? And it was like I think Jake Delhomme was hurt at that point. He was on the back end. He was starting to get bad. 2008. No, I mean, I think Delhomme was still a quarterback, but it was like 2008. And we ended up not going far in the playoffs. We made it there or something. And, so there were some good coaching things, but they're so similar too. They're just kind of like
identical if you think about it. They kind of start off slow. I mean, I wouldn't say John Fox started off slow. He was signed in 2002. In his first regular season, it was an actual winning season. But nonetheless, it was he's.
Good evening, Tony and Cody. Question for you guys.
So John Fox had a shorter tenure by 1 year than Ron Rivera. And Ron Rivera just this year became the winningest head coach. So by default, wouldn't that mean that John Fox was the better coach?
Right. And that 2003 season, and like this is going back when like Cody was a baby, but that 2003 season, we
magical.
It was a different. I heard Muhammad saying it was different than the 2015 season. When you get to the Super Bowl and you feel like you're the best team in 2015. In 2003, we just felt like we were the hottest team. Right. And, we reeled off these on-the-road wins against all these teams in the playoffs. We beat the Rams, greatest show on turf in their last age. Then we beat the Eagles, Donovan McNabb and the Eagles. Then you go on with the Patriots. Like, it was awesome. We won, and we won in so many different ways that year. That was real cool, too, is that in the beginning of the season, we won only because of our defense. And then later in the playoffs, we won because of the offense. We won one game because we simply balked 4 kicks against Tampa. It was so I think the edge goes to John Fox in my mind.
But also,
and he is a more successful coach. He's won a Super Bowl, right?
He was the closest to winning a Super Bowl for us as well. Sure. If you look at that Super Bowl, that was one of the best games, and they'll always be listed as one of the best games in the Super Bowl era for be played. Just the way that it ended,
Was he the coach of the Broncos when they won the Super Bowl, or was it Kubiak?
No.
Oh, okay.
He was
okay, so he doesn't have a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was there when they lost, but the year after he left is when they went to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Go ahead.
Real quick, I do want to point out, I got to agree with y'all, too. I think it probably is John Fox just for the slight edge. But John Fox did have some talent. He had Jake Delhomme, Stephen Davis, Jordan Gross, Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, I mean, Muhsin Muhammad,
Chris Jenkins, Dan Morgan,
Stewart.
Will Witherspoon. Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had some talent. So it was just in different positions than Ron Rivera had.
Jake Delhomme wasn't initially talent though, right?
But he had a couple pretty good years with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not up until that season.
Right, but I mean, I would say that
But he wasn't Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
And I
Correct.
can still hear myself echoing in the background for somebody. Has anybody got the audio of the show on YouTube playing anywhere?
No.
Not me.
Okay. All right. Don't worry about hello. Yep, that was it. But all right, so here we go. I can hear it a little bit when your mic's on, but it's okay. It's not that bad. I'm just sensitive to my own voice because it's just busy washing jock straps. Next call.
It's a tough job. Someone has to do it.
Yeah, it's Kyle from VA again. I got a quick question. This is about next season, pretty much, and y'all kind of touched on it a little bit in the post game about bringing Vernon Butler back. But my question is, do you think we bring Gerald McCoy back? And I'm not going out saying that I think Gerald McCoy is, a piece of shit football player like Buccaneers fans do, but if it's me that's making the signings, personally, I don't bring Gerald McCoy back. He's just going to want too much money. I think the biggest thing with him now is just his name. I really think that's what it is. But if you look at stats, I mean, shit, him and Vernon Butler have had almost the same damn season. Vernon Butler's got 5 sacks and 13, 15 tackles or something. Gerald McCoy's got 5 sacks, 13 tackles. Vernon Butler's actually got 2 or 3 forced fumbles, and McCoy doesn't have that. So, just wondering your thoughts. I would say you don't bring Gerald McCoy back. You didn't bring one of them back. Maybe you bring Vernon Butler for like $10 million cheaper. Anyways, guys, keep pounding.
He's got 5 sacks on the season. I think he's been pretty good. I think he's been a good leader or helpful in a team that doesn't have anybody. But I do think he will command too much money for us, probably.
But hold on though. I kind of disagree with this. I think that I would say that it's likely at this point that we do see Gerald McCoy come back. Because think about it, when we had Gene from the Buck What You Heard podcast on here, when we were talking about Gerald McCoy this offseason, and one of the things that we were saying is, he's not an Aaron Donald. You're not going to put him at 3 tech and just expect him to feast on the quarterback. He's not the kind of player that makes your defensive line. But he is an important piece on your defensive line that if you put other players around him, all of a sudden Gerald McCoy looks a lot better than he would otherwise when he's the main player in your pass rush. I have no problem signing Gerald McCoy for another little while. I think he's proven to be a good veteran, a good guy to have in the locker room. I think
he's played hard too.
Yeah,
I think that looks like he's really given us full effort out there.
In the absence of Thomas Davis, his voice has been so incredibly important on this football team. Gerald McCoy knows how to rally the troops, get in everyone's ass, and make them go out there and fight. And I think that's beneficial to have. And I kind of think one of the bigger reasons we were excited about Gerald McCoy this season was the prospect of having him and KK pass rushing at the same time, and that went out of the window when K'Wan Short got hurt. I would not mind having Gerald McCoy back at all. In fact, I think it's likely that we do sign Gerald McCoy to maybe a 2 or 3 year contract. And if you put some more talent on this defensive line, I think he is a perfect stopgap defensive tackle, and I'm happy to have him on the football team.
Let me ask you a question on that then, because
sure.
With all of the changes that are about to come and the fact that it will almost assuredly indicate a rebuild, Gerald McCoy is ready and hungry for a playoff berth. right? That's the reality of his life and his situation right now. No, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be chasing the money. I think he's going to be chasing contention for the possibility of a Super Bowl, because that's the one thing he will forever be sitting there saying he wasn't able to do. But another part of the reason he came to this team was a mixture of the players on this team that are still active. Also, Cam Newton was a big part of his decision, and Ron Rivera was a big part of his decision. And the fact that both of them are gone, or possibly Cam Newton. If Cam Newton is gone, I could see a scenario where there is no chance that Gerald McCoy comes back to this team.
No.
Like he just doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I think if it doesn't play for the Panthers next year, that'll probably be the key reason. If a Ravens or a Chiefs, if they come knocking at his door, to try and finish his career on a high note, he might go there. But at the same time, I really do think that he's kind of bought into this Panthers culture thing that we have going on here, and I really do think that he enjoys being in Carolina on this football team. So,
dude, what I tell you this is we've got to renegotiate KK's contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
KK
way too much.
Well, he's going to turn 31 next year. And he is going to count $20 million versus the cap for the next 2 years.
Dude, what in the heck, dude? That's insane.
It is 12. He's $12 million. He's going to get $12.5 million for his salary. Then his guaranteed money that's split up over the course of his contract is $6.3 million. So that is what, 12.5 and 6.5 is what? 19, and then he gets a workout bonus, a roster bonus of $1 million, workout bonus of his cap number is $20,339,000, and if you cut him next year, you would save $2 million against the cap, but you would have $17 million in dead money. And look, you can't even cut him in 21. Dead money is $11 million, cap savings $9. I mean, so maybe at that point, you got to restructure. They've got to restructure. Well, the whole point was by this point, they're trying to restructure this contract. They probably need to extend him now if he's healthy and get that number down.
Yeah, Brad Dugan in the chat says restructuring KK is a must this offseason. I agree.
Real quick, while we're talking about the not Brian Burns, Dontari Poe and Vernon Butler, the way I got to kind of look at it is, if we're trying to make a choice between these two, we don't have anything past either one of these. So, like, one of these guys is going to have to work for us. So who brings more to the table? Even though I think they have the same, almost identical stats this year, I think Dontari Poe brings a lot more to the table for the team.
Dontari Poe or Gerald McCoy?
Gerald McCoy. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying Dontari Poe.
Because I think Dontari Poe is another conversation as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, we're talking about Dontari Poe, Cameron Short, Gerald McCoy, and we were all happy about the prospect of those three playing next to each other, and now that'll probably never happen.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's disappointing, certainly, because we even though that our pass rush has been mildly successful, I think it looks like we're a lot better than we have been based on the early success in the year. But your question about whether or not we keep one or the other, if there's only an option to keep Gerald or keep Vernon, I think you have. I think what the intangibles are with Gerald McCoy are a lot more beneficial with a young defensive line, which is probably what we're going to have a lot of after this year with Brian Burns and the fact that Bruce Irving is not going to be on the roster next year. KK obviously will be there, but we're still going to need to make fill some holes with the draft, I think, in our defensive line. So I think having a leader like Gerald McCoy will be key.
All right.
Whereas Vernon Butler, we've talked about it. I think it was something that the guys talked about on Sunday, a little too late at this point. He might be a good depth piece, but, I don't think we're going to sit here and pay him the amount of money he's going to be asking for, because he's expecting that his contract year he's had this year is going to warrant him to be paid handsomely. And I don't think he's going to get the market that he's anticipating.
No.
I don't know how any player on this team could say that I deserve to be paid handsomely right now.
Christian
Shaq Thompson Shaq Thompson, and then we have to worry about James Bradbury. And then we have Luke coming up soon.
I just think that when you're talking about older players, you kind of have to be realistic about. And I mean the player himself. You have to be realistic about what your market value is, and with all these players coming out in the draft, dude, Derek Brown from Auburn is a man amongst boys. And if we're talking about we're going to have maybe a top 10 pick, I mean that's an easy selection for us. There's so much young talent coming out that. I mean, really, it almost doesn't make sense to sign a player like Gerald McCoy or Kevon Short to these big, crazy deals when you're going to be able to replace them seemingly every year with how Clemson and Alabama and all these other SEC teams pump out these big, buff defensive linemen. So if that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that he's reasonable and knowing that he fits a very real role here as a leader in the locker room, but at the same time, he's not the number 9 pick or whatever he was, like he was in 2010.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Tony, you're muted.
What's up, Panther family? Josh from Mass. Know y'all didn't hear from me on Sunday. Honestly, after watching that game, I didn't have anything to say. I mean, I didn't expect us to win. I didn't expect us to get our damn doors blown off either, though. I didn't expect us to come out in the second half in a game that we managed to keep pretty close by half and just let it get just so far out of hand.
Pretty close.
It was real disappointing, and I feel like even though Ron Rivera's gone, maybe some of his culture is lingering, and that's, why things are the way they are right now. I think really what Tepper's doing is instead of, obviously you really can't can everybody during the season, but it's also a chance to let some of these guys get a little audition tape together for, wherever they're hoping to go next. Because God knows, I don't see grounds for keeping anybody really at this point. But some big things that I wanted to really touch on that I've been thinking about even before the game and into today. If anybody's wondering, yeah, we're going to be full rebuild. It's the reality. My opinion, Cam plays here next year unless we get a big trade for him. And then if the season falls apart, trade up in the draft, get Lawrence or whoever your new coach really has a hard-on for. If Cam goes, then I think Greer gets the start next year. And in my opinion, the real tank show begins. And anybody with a substantial contract is trade fodder or risk of trade fodder. And then as far as my thoughts on Cam, there was a report contradicting the other report. Well, not contradicting the report, but kind of his side, saying he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay in Charlotte and cement his legacy with the Panthers, and I'd like to see that. So I don't know what to say on that. I'd like to see him stay, but you never know. Dante Jackson, the young man needs to just shut the hell up. Put in the work, put your head down, get good, and do your job. It ain't that complicated, from somebody else who played football, not as a professional, but I played. And Allen, 12 fumbles on the season, 18 turnovers. Take that mug out the oven because he's done. Love the show, boys. Keep pounding. Stand strong, Panther Nation. Stand strong.
Keep pounding, Josh. Tony, you still have no volume for me, man. I don't know how it is on the video. Let me check.
No, I still can't hear you.
No, can't hear you.
Now you can.
Now
we can.
Yeah, now we hear you.
There's that sultry voice.
Yeah. Nice call from Josh from Mass. He's going to say trade him to Buffalo and his computer and all of that mess. The live stuff's hard, dude. Live stuff, if one thing goes wrong, like the voice meter crashed because I was trying to unhook my headphones and charge them for a second, and it crashed, and then
calls.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
So Josh from Mass there. I do think when it comes to, it's kind of hard to get into the drudgery of rebuild. Hate that tank word. I don't want that stink on my team.
So Chef Jeff Hodges, Jeff Hodges is in the chat, and he thinks that we're not in full rebuild. And Josh from Mass thinks that we are in full rebuild. I don't know. So how about just real quick? Let's go around. Are we in full rebuild mode or no?
No.
CK?
What's getting on that decision?
You were kind of breaking up on that one.
I said if we keep Cam, then I think we're not in rebuild mode. If we don't keep Cam, I think we're full blown. We rebuild at that point.
I'd like to change my answer to that answer.
Yeah, that's the answer. It really is the answer.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, man.
But that does bring up a question. Somebody posted in the chat. I've got to go back and see that somebody, Panthers Culture, has created a GoFundMe page for a billboard for keep Cam in Carolina for 2020. You know, that whole hashtag that went viral there for a while, or was trending. And it's $8,000 that we need to come up with for that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
I mean, I love it.
I'll pitch in.
Yeah.
As a sign of solidarity, man, to show Cam Newton that there are fans that know what he's been through and what he has put his body through for the team, and we know what kind of player he is. Yeah, man, of course.
I mean,
when you use a GoFundMe, if they don't reach their goal, do they give you your money back? What happens to, like, if we get $2,000 raised? What the hell happens to $2,000?
I think whoever's in charge of the GoFundMe takes care of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever has it, keeps it. I mean, it's not like redistributed back to the people, because it didn't hit that goal. Now, there ain't gonna be no. I tell you this though, it does work. At East Carolina University, we had this athletic director that was awful. He was terrible. He ruined our football he ruined everything about the school's athletic program. Anything that was good, he ruined. Some people hired one of those planes. That's what we should do, is we should, instead of doing a billboard, we should hire one of those planes that flies over with the sign. And they need to fly over during the game. That's one flyover. A billboard would be like for an entire month.
Well, the thing is too, I think we're kind of looking at this.
Do you know how embarrassing it is to have a plane hired to fly over your stadium with a message that's not glowing? That's what they did at ECU. They hired a plane that said "Fire Comfort," and it would fly over the stadium, and they fired his ass after 2 weeks of that mess.
No, but guys, do you remember before Mike Shula was fired on the Panthers subreddit, there was a GoFundMe to get a guy to fly a plane over the stadium that had a banner that said "Fire Mike Shula." I should know because I don't.
How about I'll contribute to both campaigns? I will contribute all of the show's money from tonight to both the campaigns.
Well, my only question is with it. Isn't it kind of going backwards? Because while you can pay $8,000 for a billboard that the people who drive by it that day are going to see, couldn't you be more effective through social media?
Well, I think it sends a visible statement. Because if you're on, let's be real, if you're on Twitter, we think that that's everyone, dude. That's just, you're in a bubble of people
you're right. You're so right.
that use Twitter. So when you put a billboard out there, it shows it shows visually to the community that there is an effort to keep Cam Newton as a Carolina Panther. So Yeah, I think there's merits to online and doing something tangible like that.
I can't find the GoFundMe. I'm Googling it right now.
I'll send it to you right now. I got it.
Okay, so the other thing is this: I just got done listening
to this. Into DM.
I retweeted it. It's on my Twitter. It's on my tweets.
Oh well, I'm one of your followers too, so I'll be able to find it. I've been listening to this podcast, Dr. Death.
Just sent it.
Dude, don't. Oh, yep, I'm retweeting it right now. You can get a retweet at least. I got some money. How much does he raise? Let's see how much he's raised right now. He's got $185. I'm donating. I told you I'm donating the show's proceeds tonight.
John Barrera donated $150. All right.
So there's $185 in one dude. I wish they would let you take PayPal.
That's in the last
Why do they
15
not let? Everybody should take PayPal. Why the hell do they have to use my credit card? I want to use PayPal. That's why I don't like GoFundMe already. But I've been listening to this podcast. Has anybody listened to it, Dr. Death?
No. What's it about?
Oh, gosh. It's about this surgeon who had, he's a spinal surgeon in Texas, or he was, and he had something like 38 total independent surgeries, and 33 of them had resulted in catastrophic injury or death. 2 deaths, 2 people, 1 person was made quadriplegic after it, 1 person paraplegic after, so he severed their spinal cord, he just and these 2 doctors went on this campaign because at first they thought he was a fraud, somehow he's like an imposter doctor. Anyway, it was all of this, and it's crazy. It's scary thinking about doctors not knowing what the hell they're doing, and then being like, sorry, there were complications. I just don't know what is C4 and C5. That was the complication. He drilled a hole through somebody's windpipe one time, dude. The size of a ping pong ball. It was just they prosecuted him. He is the first surgeon who has ever been criminally prosecuted for what he did. And anyway, the reason I bring it up is because there was this one hospital, one of the first hospitals he was botching all these surgeries at. They were scared to fire him because they were worried he was going to sue them for loss of wages for firing him without real cause. So anyway, this hospital has been real shady, I thought, through the whole process. And Wonderly, who is the podcast company that does this show, when they put the podcast out, they put a billboard for the podcast across the street from that hospital.
Wow.
So it's like Dr. Death, and then when you listen to it, it's like, this hospital sucks. Don't go there. And they took the billboard down. It was so, I don't know, man. You put up the Save Cam. What happens is you put up the Keep Cam in Carolina, and somehow Tepper pays billions of dollars to get it down, and it's Billboard Gate.
I think that would spread a lot quicker. As far as, hey, we just paid for this, and we had GoFundMe, and now it's gone all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's what they said with the podcast, is that by them taking down the Dr. Death podcast, it garnered more attention than the actual billboard did, which is interesting. Good point. All right, next call.
Hello, C3. Call D. What's going on, Tony and Cody and the 2 newcomers to the panel?
And you other dudes.
How's y'all doing tonight?
We good, brother. We good.
Okay, let me start off with this. Sunday just proved to us that it wasn't just Ron, which we know, and I know. Me and Cody, definitely, we was on top of the Ron situation from the get-go about getting rid of him. It wasn't just Ron. Ron rubbed off on the coaching staff. And we also learned Sunday that Scott Turner I think is that his name, Scott Turner. Scott Turner is not the answer as an offense coordinator thus far. From what I see Sunday, just like his daddy, he starts off great, and after that, it's no kind of adjustments made. Wow. I at least thought Scott would, well, okay, I ain't going to say I thought. I was hoping that Scott would turn into, sort of like what Kyle Shanahan did when his dad, the game passed his dad by, but look what Cal has been able to do. Well, it looks like Scott is not in that category with Cal yet. So, yeah. Our defense, that great defense that the fans were so praising before the season, and then after those couple of games we're playing them sorry teams that didn't have a good offensive line, that they were getting all these sacks. Like I said, defense sucks, still sucks. Like it's been sucking all year, giving up big plays. Can somebody tell me, Dante Jackson, dude, what the hell happened to Dante? Last year his rookie season were promising. That one game this year is looked promising. And then after that, it was just like he just fell off the map. Can somebody, hey Tony, do me a favor. I need you to call the cops and put out an APB for Dante Jackson.
I tell you, he ain't missing. That's the problem.
Because he definitely is missing in action.
He ain't no Action Jackson no more, that's for sure. Is that after that game, after that play, he looked like a fool in that play. He just looked foolish. And I think he was embarrassed, and I think that's part of the reason he was like that after the game. But here is that I think, and I'm going to disagree with Carl, I don't think we should be able to draw any conclusions about Scott Turner just yet. Is that he's really playing with a half-full deck, so it's not like he's going to be able to come in and coach like, a team that really had.
Let's say what it is, man. He's playing with Kyle Allen. It's more of a problem now than it's ever been, I think.
Yeah.
He got Ian Thomas involved in the game a lot. He also did see a lot of movement with Curtis Samuel. They got the ball to Curtis Samuel a little bit more, at least tried to.
By the way,
I don't think it was all bad.
This is why in recent weeks I dialed back the criticism on Norv Turner by a lot. I mean, you guys remember when I was basically shitting on Norv Turner almost every other week. I refrained from doing that to him. I just think Kyle Allen was missing so many throws and just refusing to go through his reads and hitting wide open receivers that it's not going to be fair for me.
I don't think he's refusing. I don't think he can go through his reads. I just don't think he can.
I cannot and will not put any criticism on Scott and Norv Turner for this season when Kyle Allen is continuing to show his level of ineptitude. And that's nothing personal against Kyle Allen. That's just the truth, man. That game against Atlanta was more apparent. It was even more apparent than the Redskins game because at least in the first quarter, Kyle Allen did some things well against Washington. That whole game against Atlanta was just a dumpster fire, in my opinion. So not a lot to like. Cannot judge Scott yet.
And I think you could tell that you were obviously trying to make it less about Norv. I think reality of the situation is last year we saw what Cam could have been under Norv. I'm not sitting here saying Norv was the answer, but I also said, and I'm not ready to jump on the Scott Turner as a bust train yet. How quickly we forget that Kyle Shanahan was an offensive coordinator in
Washington
Houston Texans offense, and then
I didn't even remember offense. That.
Yeah, he left Houston to join his dad over in Washington, and after a really bad start, it was obviously this whole thing about nepotism and everything. And then he went over to the Browns, and he resigned after they were basically mandating that he started Johnny Manziel. But I mean, it was he up until his tenure with a high-powered offense with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, you didn't really see what he was capable of as a coach. And once you actually got him the talent and you got somebody who could actually execute what he envisioned with his offense, you saw him take off. And all of a sudden, he hasn't been able to stop. He's just been successful on every level. And now he's starting to really show what even a few years of development in the 49ers offense, which he's got a lot of really nice pieces that allow him to execute the game plan he wants. I think you give that same courtesy to Scott Turner. I think you might have an opportunity to see somebody who's able to ensure that our quarterbacks can succeed. Specifically, hopefully.
I do want to address two comments in the chat room. One is Joey Esquivel says, looks like he's trying to be Distraction Jackson. I like that a lot. Distraction Jackson. Missing an Axon Jackson is another one from Trill One. That's very good. And Josh from Mass with his go-to line, trade Jackson to Buffalo. I do want to address that comment, though, because I think it would be a mistake to give up on Dante Jackson because of his behavior and this bad play. I think this is that talent is something – he's got talent. Is that it's about maturity, being in a group of guys, too, where he sees what they're doing. I think that this is that we don't have the luxury of trading away talented players right now. And we get worse without Dante Jackson, even though he's been – so I think the answer is to bench him for a game or maybe not start him. Do something, but other than that, I think he's cheap right now. He's also still on his rookie contract. Let's go to the next call. I think it's Carl D again.
Okay, I'm back. It's Carl D again. Sorry about that. But yeah, Dante definitely been missed. Cody, I know you already know the good news about Cam. Recovery is looking good. I've heard on another podcast yesterday that I be on sometime from time to time.
You're cheating on us, Carl.
I know. You see how he kind of didn't want to say it.
I mean, me and you talked, Cody, earlier about Cam Newton with the percentage. With you said it was 50%. And I keep hearing the news keeps saying Carolina's going to trade Cam. Carolina's going to trade Cam, but we have no confirmation from any sign or anything from any Panther insiders about that. So what you guys think? You think it's time to move on from Cam? I personally don't. I mean, quarterbacks in the draft, if we do, I want Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
He's improved a lot from his days at Alabama, Oklahoma. I think he'll be a good replacement.
Why do you think
Justin
that is?
Fields,
Lincoln, right?
I don't know, Tone. I don't know, Cody. I don't know about him. He's not. He's
is this
okay,
the Ohio
but
State guy?
he's not wowing me, And of course, we know Joe Burrow is going to be gone, so that's out of the picture. The Herbert guy, I'm still not impressed by him as well. So other than that, Cody, I mean, you like me, we scout these players. What other quarterback name that come to mind that you think we can possibly get, Cody? Because out of the other ones that's coming out, I still haven't seen any that I would be, man, we need to get that guy in the first round to be the next heir apparent to Cam. So let me know.
Is Hurts a first rounder, Cody?
And until next time, keep pounding unless I
appreciate it, Carl D.
I think so, but Cody's more of an expert about this stuff.
Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, the player comparison I currently have for him is Dak Prescott. He's good everywhere, but there isn't a trait that he has that's A-plus level talent, and that's fine, man. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are like that. He's not getting my engine going. He's not making me feel all hot and bothered like Cam Newton does to Tony Dunn. But
he's never like that.
Well, I mean, as of right now, and again, this is kind of early, but I think that when you draft a quarterback, you really are drafting a lot of traits. You draft their decision-making ability, but you also do look at the quarterback that you feel you can mold into a dominant quarterback for your team. Right now, the two players that I would consider if I was the general manager for the Carolina Panthers, it's really only two of them, and considering we're not going to be in range for Joe Burrow. That's Justin Herbert, 6'6", 230 pounds. He's built like Cam Newton. He's mobile. I don't necessarily love his decision-making, but the dude has a cannon for an arm. Down the field, he's really good on deep throws. I like his ability to run the offense. And then other than that, Tua Tagovailoa, the injury concerns are very real. But you're talking about a player who, in my opinion, I compare to a Drew Brees, except for a little more mobile. He can move around. He can extend plays a little bit. But this is a guy that is aware of coverages. He throws a beautiful football. And he really is a special thrower of the football. I think they're both going to need work before they're ready to start playing NFL football. That's true of most rookie quarterbacks. But if you put the right talent and the right pieces around the Justin Herbert, I have no doubt in my mind that dude will be a very successful quarterback. He's like a 4.0 GPA type of guy. I mean, he's the definition of what you would want in a quarterback, but you have to put time and effort into building around the player, unlike what the Panthers did with Cam Newton.
Well, Cody, what you were saying there makes a ton of sense. The only question I have about it is you're talking about molding a quarterback to fit your franchise. Wouldn't it be better to mold your franchise around the quarterback?
Well, yeah, but that's what you want to do. But I think the difference is what kind of money are you paying? So it's easier to do it on a rookie quarterback because you're not paying them a ton of money. You can spend more money in free agency. You can put some pieces on the offensive line, the defensive line. You can build around them before you have to start paying that $200 million, dollar contract that quarterbacks are going for now. So there really is a window when they're on that rookie contract that you have to hit.
Brad Dugan says Tua kind of reminds him of Russell Wilson.
He sounds just like him. If you
I
listen
think that's
to
a good comparison. I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah,
he's not as much of a runner as Russell Wilson is. That's why I say more right. Because he's not as mobile, and with the injury concerns, you don't want to run to a Tagovailoa. But with that said, just as a pure passer, I mean he's up there with Joe Burrow. I want people to understand the only reason Tua Tagovailoa is gonna fall down boards is not because he's not an incredible quarterback. It's because of the injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
And the question is, are they really that bad? I don't know. I've never heard of someone breaking their hip, but they say. But for me, is that didn't he have? It was one ankle, then the other ankle. I mean, anybody can get an ankle injury in the NFL.
But ankle injuries linger for a long time.
He showed up.
Well, he's got some time off with his hip injury.
Yeah, last year he showed up in to the Heisman ceremony in a boot. So he's been hurt, but I think right now he's just trying to be healthy.
Does he even go in the draft this year?
He said so, and I'm looking it up. Basically, he
had a press conference, didn't he?
Yeah, about 5 days ago.
He didn't say anything though. He didn't.
He basically said he's letting the scouts guide his decision. He feels like the scouts are, leading him to believe that that there's faith in what he can do, and that that he doesn't need another prove-it year at Alabama. Then I think he makes the decision to declare. But if I could see a situation where if his prospect falls below the first round, I could see him trying to come back from Alabama and prove that.
But once he signs, once he signs with an agent, he can't do nothing.
If this is up to me, I would advise to just declare for the draft, man. You don't make your money on your first quarterback contract anyway.
He's not going to prove anything more in Alabama.
Right. And by the way, so listen, Deshaun Watson, who in 2017 I felt was clearly the best quarterback in the draft, judging from what they did on the college football field, it benefited Deshaun to fall a little bit to the 12th pick because you're not going to the worst teams. You're going to a team that does have some talent. Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was the 32nd pick of the first round. I mean, that was a good Ravens football team that just added a dynamic quarterback, and they're paying almost no money for him. So
5 years instead of 4.
Yeah,
100%.
So I would tell Tua.
Mahomes is another one.
Yeah, Mahomes. And the last thing about Tua, next year, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are coming out in the draft. Yeah. So there's no guarantee that you're even going to be the number one pick, even if you do stay healthy.
All right.
Brad Dugan says Tua kind of. Oh wait, I said Tua has a great attitude like Russell Wilson, and he loves Jesus like Tim Tebow. Next
and
call.
like Russell Wilson.
And like Russell Wilson. Next call.
What's up, guys? Jeff Hodge here.
Jeff.
And first thing I'm going to talk about, I was talking about it in the chat after Sunday's game, and said I was going to save it for today, but and this may not be a popular opinion. I like Shaq Thompson, and he should definitely be our linebacker, but it seems like Marty Herney's doing more of that, we're going to sign you to a big, huge contract that you don't really deserve just to keep you around. I mean, that's a lot of money. He's like, there's only like 2 other linebackers making more than him. Or maybe even just one, something like that. And he's not the third, or he's not a top 5 linebacker. I mean, he's a good, top 15, top 10 linebacker. He's a little, squirrely when it comes to the run. I think that may have more to do with our terrible defensive line because Luke also looks bad, and I don't see both of them just falling off randomly. I think it's a new system.
Yeah.
Hopefully we go back to a 4-3 next year. But yeah, I don't like that contract. I think it's too much. It's too much guaranteed. I understand that, that contract will look better after the new CBA, but that sticker price right now is a lot. And the fact that you have to pay back Bradbury too. So you're talking about 2 guys who are going to take up like 15% of the salary cap next year. But,
well, the upside,
maybe Marty Herney knows what he's doing. I don't know. Sounds like he is getting his role downsized for sure. I think the little statement about Cam Newton, we're open to trading Cam Newton, I kind of seen that coming. It doesn't change my my thinking that Cam Newton is probably still going to be our quarterback next year and play out the last year of his contract and do amazing things. I feel like Tepper's putting that out there just as the salesman and businessman that he is. The team's willing to give up like 2 first rounds and 2 second rounds or 3 first rounds or whatever, some crazy number, which could happen. It probably won't because, first of all, you can't trade a player who's not able to pass a physical. He probably won't be able to pass a physical until, I don't know, maybe the summertime or maybe a little bit earlier, but probably the summertime. I don't see it happening. You can't trade a hurt Cam Newton, and it looks like unless he doesn't want to be here, which may also be the case. That's really the other half of me thinks that maybe he doesn't want to play here anymore. But now that Ron's gone, maybe that's different. Who knows? I don't want to see him move on somewhere else because I know he will be around for at least 7 or 8 more years, doing great things. That's all I got to say tonight, guys. One more thing. The team looked atrocious Sunday. Oh, my God. They definitely looked like a team without a leader.
Here's him coming back for part 2.
What's up, C3? Jeff Hodge again. Wasn't paying attention to my clock. Got cut off. But basically, just to finish the thought, the team they definitely looked like they missed a leader, and that leader was Ron Rivera. I mean, I do think it was the right move to move on from him. Wish it would have been last year or last off season, but they definitely looked lost, lethargic, and just not ready to play. Part of me thought that they would do the most Panther thing ever and like win out the last 4 games to get a shitty draft pick and win those 4 games for nothing. But hopefully we won't do that. Let's shoot for a top 5 draft pick. We got to shoot for that. We got to get that. I do like Perry Fuel. I think the Dante Jackson thing, had Ron Rivera been there, first of all, that wouldn't have fucking happened. He would have been cut the next day if he would have done some shit like that. And I think he knows better. And that's bad on him. He's looking worse and worse every game. And to have the audacity to call out the new coaching staff like that's not right. That's something you keep in-house. You pull your secondaries coach or your head coach or whoever to the side, and you say something about it. You don't say it to the media. So to Dante Jackson, ice up, son. Ice up. And that's really all I got to say, guys. I'll be listening. Keep pounding.
Hey.
How do we feel about... Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, I was going to say real quick, I want to touch on what he was talking about with Shaq Thompson. I'm sitting here looking at the numbers right now, and Shaq Thompson's the 14th. Is 14th in the NFL in tackles. And he's only 11 tackles behind Luke Kuechly, who's 7th. So the difference between 14th and the number 1 is only about 25 tackles. So he really is up there with, as far as tackles go, with the top echelon in the NFL. He's got 3 more sacks than Luke Kuechly does, because Luke Kuechly has 0 and he has 3. And the most interesting fact about it, the guy who's directly behind him in tackles in the NFL, Thomas Davis. So,
interesting tidbit.
Yeah, Thomas Davis has has 102 tackles and Shaq Thompson has 103.
All right, so Shaq Thompson is classified as a 4-3 outside linebacker. All right, and right now the comps to him are Anthony Barr, Quan Alexander, Christian Kirksey, Anthony Hitchens from the Chiefs, Dante Hightower.
Yeah,
all of those guys. All of those guys are look. Anthony Barr and Quan Alexander making $13 million a year, $54 million for Quan Alexander. They paid him. You know what they paid him is they paid him free agent fair market value.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think that people are a little over worried about the amount of this contract. I'm still waiting to see how the numbers pan out and how that fourth year of the contract looks. Is this really a 3-year contract? But you're probably paying him around $10 million a year. And I think the one reason I'm not upset with the Shaq Thompson signing is that if you don't sign Shaq Thompson, you got to draft whoever Cody said from Clemson earlier. Right, you have to. Like, you just can't. We don't have anybody other than those 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we only have Luke Kuechly. If any one of them gets hurt, we are fucked.
Well, and it goes back on another criticism of Marty Hurney. What happened to the other 2 guys we drafted from Maryland and from UNC? And apparently Luke Kuechly gave him a bunch of praise, but I haven't really noticed. I don't even remember their names.
There's no... Is Jermaine something...
Jermaine something. Dude, I can't even remember.
Yeah, but they were like 5th rounders, and there's just no room for them right now. Man, like, you know who the guy is that... You know who the guy that actually irritates me more than them is the Haynes dude.
Yeah, Marquise Haynes. Yeah, that's one of them. That was one of the...
Like, why is he... He's gotten less playing time than Christian Miller.
Well, but again, it goes back to this. Do we even know that the coaches know what kind of talent they have? Is it because they're floundering or they're not being coached up? Like, at a certain point, we have to identify the trend. There are too many players on our team that we're just like, oh, well, what? Do they just suck? They never get playing time. Like, I think we've already answered this question for ourselves. Listen, I'm not mad at the Shaq Thompson contract. I almost see it as a necessity, even though you didn't want to pay that kind of money. Dude, I'm telling you, we have holes everywhere. Like, we had to make it so that way we didn't have to go out and reach for every position in free agency and every position in the draft because we have a glaring hole at just about every position. We could not afford to lose. And
he's been a good soldier. He's been a good soldier.
And
top 15 tackle.
To his credit, and I've been consistent on this, I maintain that as a linebacker, your ability to play fast to the football depends on your defensive tackles. And it's just not happening on our defensive line this year. And because of it, everyone looks at Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson and says they're playing bad. And they're not playing good, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just those two are playing bad football.
Right. Well, you know what's funny is I'm sitting here once again looking at the stats, and with how bad Carolina's defense is this year, we're the only team that has 3 players in the top 15 as far as tackles go. Eric Reed, Luke Kuechly, and Shaq Thompson are all in the top 15.
Which means all mugs are getting past the line.
But that also means that we're not keeping the defense off the field.
Yeah, that means there's a lot of plays they're on.
The amount of offensive plays being run against us are astronomical.
Very true.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your boy, Brandon Herbert.
Hey, what's up, brother Herbert?
I thought I would just take it a little bit different tonight.
James Bradbury's awesome.
About it and everything. I do want to wish, because say to Ron Rivera, I do, even though I don't agree with a lot of the stuff you did or your coaching methods and everything, I do want to thank you for at least, taking us to that Super Bowl, doing some of the great things he does, because when I seen his press conference and I see how many people, usually when coaches get fired and everything, you never hear people come out like this, the way that they did. He is from what I've been told, and just where you can tell, even from his press conference, he is a stand-up guy, and he is a really good person. So it is, I just think that you've been here for 9 years. He's been here for 9 years. He's probably going to get another head coaching job. It's just time to move on and to try something different. Because we already know about the same old ways and everything that he's got stuck in after a while and everything. But I do want to just say thank you so much for at least giving the Panthers something good, in the last decade.
Yeah,
so,
we've been relevant.
I do want to say that.
Brother Herbert's a good dude.
Hopefully now, I don't know, Cody, how you think the play calling was. I think that even though it's just 1 week, we can start seeing a lot. We're going to start seeing a little bit more creativity, because you got to think of this too. Scott Turner has never done this before. He's never been an offensive coordinator before. He's never called plays before. So this is new, something new to him. So this is an audition for something that potentially, he probably won't be with Carolina after this, but
you're so right
young
here.
Offensive coordinator, or
so right.
Trying to be a potential offensive coordinator. So this is his audition for a lot of things. So we'll see how it goes for him. So he's going to be trying his hardest to make the best game plan and everything for this team. So I think that it's going to be really interesting to see this. Now our defense is going to just suck the rest of the year. And I think Luke Kuechly, people are talking about Luke Kuechly and everything. He hasn't played bad, but he's made more mistakes than he usually makes.
Yep, that's been my point.
And I still think he's playing like one of the top few linebackers in the league at times, and it flashes. But other times, it's like he usually would read that. But I think it's because, like Cody was saying, it's not necessarily on him. If he has linemen.
All right, look, he's got more to the call. Here it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. But the point of, this is why I think I'm not saying that he couldn't play 3-4 inside linebacker, because he's very intelligent. But if you look at it, the point of having that nose tackle is to shield off two guys to hold the point of attack and allow your linebackers to run freely. Like 90% of the time, you see linemen, not receivers or tight ends or anything blocked. You see linemen that gets to the second level very quickly, and
Same
it's
problem we had in
extremely hard for a linebacker to
last year, maybe
to not let them get walloped into whatever. So if you look at the defensive line, they're not doing their job. I'm not saying Luke has been perfect. He's missed a couple tackles and everything, but just go back and look. the defensive line is not doing their job to allow the linebackers to run freely. And that is the biggest reason why the run defense is as bad as it is. It's not Luke not being able to diagnose all the way and all this kind of stuff. Yes, he's made some bad plays or reads and everything, but he's got a offensive lineman blocking him when that's never supposed to be the case. But yeah, so I still have faith in Luke. I think he's still a top 2 linebacker, and if we do go back to 4-3, it might fit him a little better, but I think he can play both. That's just my opinion. Kyle Allen, he's a bum, so we really should go to Will Greer and at least test it out, because it makes no sense if we know that we're thinking about trading Cam. Before we go out and try to get a quarterback or anything like that, why would you not test out your 3rd round pick? That is ignorant.
Thank you.
So I get that and everything.
It's
I'm
irresponsible.
Thinking, to me, if you want a bridge quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater is literally the best. And Teddy Bridgewater, if he can show potential to be a starter, people don't realize he's only 26 years old. So he's still he got in young.
That can't be
so
right.
He's still a very young quarterback.
Right.
And he could potentially be somebody's starter or franchise quarterback. Who knows? He showed a lot of potential.
Which one?
He might not have a deep ball, but he's very accurate.
27. He's 27.
So
yeah,
but that's the same
tell me
thing.
what you guys think. As always, love your show. Keep pounding.
Well, I gotta say, we love your call, man. Your call was fantastic, Brother Herbert. I told you earlier in the first call, you're a good dude. I like how you gave your props to Ron Rivera, but at the same time, you made a fair point. It's time for a change in this, and that a little more tempered. That was a little more even kill, Brandon Herbert, than we're used to. You know, usually he's coming at you hard a little bit, and so I think he made a great point on Will Greer that it's irresponsible to not see what you got. And any other thoughts on the call? Because he made so many good points. I'm trying to think of back to Luke. I think it's just a little bit of both, isn't it, Cody? There's a little bit of you saying like the whole problem is not him, and he hasn't been his best at the same time.
Both of those things, which I think that's been the theme of tonight's show. That 2 opposing ideas can both be true at the same time. Dante Jackson should not have said what he said, but it probably was the play calling that fucked him over. Same thing with Shaq Thompson. Is he maybe worth all that money? No. But do we need him? Yes. And it's the same thing. That's kind of the same rhythm that we're picking up on here.
I think for me, what has bothered me with Luke is not even like him guessing wrong sometimes. I don't feel like he looks as confident in his demonstrativeness on the field. Like, it just looks like he is less certain of what's going on, when in the past he was
Could you blame him?
Well, no, you can't. But I thought that it's almost like this is that the X's and O's have never been a problem for him.
We're not
now it almost
Luke not knowing where the play is going.
Yeah.
Or not being one step ahead, not being the commander general, knowing where the
exactly. That's been 100%. My point.
And it's a legit criticism. Again, I just think that
it's not even a criticism as much as just an observation.
Well, it's an observation and it's a criticism, but it's a criticism on our entire defense. Can you pick out one? So we all agree Christian McCaffrey is a baller and a bad mofo. But, can we really pick out any player on our team that has been head and shoulders better?
No. Yeah, he's the only one. And it's not even DJ. DJ's had a good little run, but he's
had a
been
good second half of the season.
Yeah. But he's as close as you get. He's as close as you get.
And a lot of that is DJ is the first read on the play, and Kyle
Yes,
Allen's the
yes. He benefits from Kyle Allen.
100%. 100%.
All right. Next call.
Hey guys, Josh from Mass again.
3 more after this.
Y'all
by the
got
way.
my level-headed, down-to-earth call earlier, and
Oh gosh, what are we about to get?
This call's not, like dramatic.
Everybody's traded to Buffalo.
A little more feels here. Anybody else remember the promise that this season felt like it had?
Oh gosh, yeah.
The names
Every
we
day.
picked up. Bruce Irvin.
Were we too optimistic?
Redo a three-year deal.
I still don't think so.
No.
We drafted not one but two left tackles. We got a new center. Healthy Greg Olsen. Healthy Cam Newton. Gerald McCoy. Hoping that Dante would start showing up and showing out in his sophomore season. Hoping to see Mr. James Bradbury become the corner we all hoped he would always be. And man, ain't none of that shit happened. God damn. I swear.
You know what's so funny?
I get why Tepper's mad. I get why he's done just firing people. He's done. He's tired. I'm done. I'm tired, man. It's 25 goddamn motherfucking years. Come on, man. Shit.
I feel like the last 2 seasons have felt like 25 years.
Or wherever, the guy poking his team's logo with a stick. Come on, do something. Feels like that's been us with the Panthers since we got that Super Bowl hangover.
Everybody's so sad. Sit on the couch, Josh. On the couch. Get on the couch and tell us.
It feels real damn empty.
Here, hold on. I'll pause it. I'll pause it, CK. All right, what you got, CK?
Like, season started out with such promise, and it seems it's kind of weird if you think about it, right? Every season that starts out with promise never goes anywhere.
Never goes
well. 2015 season.
Yeah, we didn't think shit was going to happen.
Let's talk about 2015. Like, when that season started, we lost Kelvin Benjamin at the beginning of it. We had nobody else as far as an offense is concerned.
Michael Orr comes in at left tackle.
And we didn't, it was an interesting story because we've all seen The Blind Side, and we were really interested in this take.
Yeah, but he was supposedly terrible at that point from Tennessee. Remember, he left.
And so somehow, even though we tried a bunch of different looks there, we finally found an offensive line that was able to hold up for the, pretty much the entirety of the season. We signed some veterans that, were able to kind of fill in gaps. And all of a sudden, this season that started out with very little hope whatsoever. I don't think Panthers fans even that season had hope until after that 5th win. Because before that, there's going to be the argument of who'd you beat, all the way up into that point. And I think even beyond that, but I think we started to feel the magic after that 5th win. It was the same thing. Like, it's complete opposite. We didn't have any hope. We didn't have any faith that the team was going to do anything. And all of a sudden they pulled, came out of nowhere. Same thing with 2017. There was nothing that indicated that 2017 was going to be a successful year. We didn't have necessarily an offensive line that was going to do much. We had a Matt Khalil, hanging out back there. We had an injured Greg Olsen from, multiple foot injuries. Luke, we were still having questions about whether Luke was going to be anything because of his concussions. We thought he was going to have an early retirement because he had 2 or 3 in a row. There was so many things. And then all of a sudden we have another, very positive year that ended us going to the, playoffs. Next year, just everybody keep your expectations low. Maybe that'll help.
But see, listen, I'm too egotistical for me to think that I was wrong about this damn football team.
I was wrong once, Cody. Cody, I was wrong once for thinking I was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, man. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Here's a metaphor. We make a lot of sexual innuendo jokes, or at least Tony does. So this is my attempt at one. This Carolina Panthers coaching staff has been like a prepubescent young man, and the Carolina Panthers team is like a full figured, beautiful.
Oh, I love this analogy. And you just came quick.
That woman caught that boy looking at her and said, "Boy, you wouldn't know what to do with this if you got a hold of it." And that's my point. We had a damn good roster. We had a damn good free agency. I think that we had a good draft class of players that, while I may not have chosen them in that order where they were selected, they were good players from big-time schools. And this coaching staff, for the second year in a row, we fall off a cliff in the middle of the season. Our coaching staff
No, you're misconstruing it. You're misconstruing it.
Didn't know how to handle the titties. Pardon my.
You're well. No, I like all the analogy, but here's where I disagree. Is that our optimism truly came in the fact that we thought that Cam Newton was going to be healthy.
They said my analogy sucks.
Like all of the other things when it comes to this team were icing on the cake. That's why we got so excited. Our excitement starts with Cam Newton and his shoulder being good. That was the theory, right? Is that he's hitting these deep balls in camp and this and that. And then all of a sudden, the shift to the 3-4 gives us a little excitement. Drafting Brian Burns gives us a little excitement. Getting Curtis Samuel out there catching deep balls. All those things are meaningless without Cam. So if Cam we would not have had any of those expectations prior to the season if Cam would have been done. There would have been zero, right? And then on top of that, the problem is we actually won a couple without Cam. Mm-hmm. And then that makes us think, well, maybe this is really good, when it's still been the same thing. The entire time, this whole team lives and dies on the arm of Cam Newton and the legs of Cam Newton. Cam Newton. He made Ron Rivera. He's made everybody.
Made us relevant. I mean, that was exactly what we were all saying on the show before the season started. You're absolutely right, was that we were one Cam Newton injury away from our season being trash. And you're right, at the beginning of the season, it looked like we got a little glimmer of hope that maybe we were wrong about that, and it was something we were happy we were wrong about. But no, we were right about that. We were one Cam Newton injury away from being a garbage team.
We were just fooled for a moment.
Is good quarterbacks take a year to figure out. It took 4 games for people to figure out, the film with Colin Allen.
I just think he wasn't ever that good. He just, the first game or two, nobody knows what he's going to do.
He played Arizona. He played Arizona. He played Houston when they've been kind of been sucky.
Yeah, but
and then they put him in some good spots. Here's the whole thing: Kyle Allen played ahead of the chains the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Is the problem with Kyle Allen is when he's been behind, and when we can't run the ball and make a threat like that, is that when you make the Carolina Panthers one-dimensional, not by taking away Christian McCaffrey, because you can't take away Christian McCaffrey, you make the Carolina Panthers one-dimensional by getting ahead.
Yeah. That's been the Achilles heel, I think, is our defense is. That's where you kind of have to look at it from. A favorable point for Kyle Allen, because the defense has never really given him any favors. They've run them. They've allowed.
Well, he hasn't given them any favors either.
No, well, he hasn't. But when you can't stop the run and that offense is, the opposing.
Oh, it's been terrible. You're right.
Well, guess what? Now our offense is on the field with a very rested up defense. Obviously, you're going to have trouble any day of the week. But I think that the point that I think is so funny, and I said it a second ago, is, you look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson isn't going to be nearly the same person that he was this year, right, that he will be next year. Because guess what? There's going to be film. There's going to be study about how to be able to actually count.
And somebody's going to get hurt. It just never works like that forever. If it works for 2 seasons, you're lucky.
Yeah, it usually takes a full year before you've got that read. And it did not even come close to that. I think it came pretty close there towards the 4th game where you started to see people figure Kyle Allen out. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden now you have this situation where Kyle Allen is absent as far as that. He's the reason that we're not winning, and a lot of times he's the reason that we're losing. But I think that speaks to what type of a quarterback we have. It's so one-dimensional that, it's easy for defenses to read it and move on. So I think that answers your question about what type of a player Kyle Allen is, and it's an argument we think put to bed a while ago. But
Carl D commenting on his own call says Ron playing Cam longer than necessary in the preseason game cost us our season. I don't know if it would have happened then or there, as I wish Cam would have just gone down in that. It's kind of a fluke injury to me, I feel like. Right. And I like Joey Esquivel's comment. Cam Newton's like Noah. He put every player from every position on the field and repopulated the earth. All right, next call. 3 more. Let's get through this.
Hey,
God, how is this? Yeah, G-Baby.
What's up, fellas? Over here feeling good, living life, per usual. Another day, another dollar.
Heard that.
What should we talk about tonight? I would just like a little bit of credit as far as this projected NFL draft order right now. ESPN just released, a draft order. And right now, fellas, it looks like we're in the top 10. We're sitting at pick 10. Now, when I mentioned this over a month ago, we're at pick 20.
My website has us as 12.
Oh, we ain't going to get no top 10. Well, fellas, right now, we got the 10th pick. Atlanta's got 9.
He's talking to me.
Right
He's
now,
talking to
we
me.
keep losing shit. The highest we could get, with how it looks, we could end up with a top 8 pick.
This is Greg. He's talking to you, Greg. He's speaking with your language.
But, I just seen a report that someone close to Cam Newton, which I think it's Clayton or whatever, his brother said that Cam Newton wants to stay in Carolina. Like, he's dying to stay in Carolina. Like, he wants to cement his legacy here in Carolina. I don't think it's a rumor. I'm pretty sure it's legit. This is coming from Cam Newton's brother. He's very close to Cam. Obviously, it's his brother. He said that Cam Newton wants to stay at Carolina Panthers.
And he said a lot of nice things about Carolina.
Put a cement in with this franchise. This is where he wants to be. So, hopefully we just keep our fingers crossed and just pray that he stays in Carolina, baby. At the end of the day, you already know. I'm not even trying to talk about the Carolina Panthers. I don't give a fuck who we play. Just keep pounding,
He's about
baby.
to cut
Keep
up.
pounding.
All right, here's part 2 of the call.
It's G, baby. Oh, another thing. There is nothing wrong with Luke Kuechly, fellas. There is nothing wrong with this man. The problem is Luke Kuechly is a 4-3 middle linebacker. He's not a 3-4 middle linebacker. There's a big difference. I can't explain this to you guys. Like, there is a huge difference. And when you don't have the personnel up front to let the middle linebacker roam the field the way we've seen Luke do in past years, it's a fucking problem. The 3-4, we should have never switched to a 3-4 defense. We didn't have the personnel to run a 3-4 defense.
I don't think we had the personnel to run a 4-3, though.
We're seeing right now, Luke is confused.
Better than a 4-3, though.
He's not a 3-4 linebacker. He's not. And when we don't have KK, let alone Don Terry Toe, shit's going to look how it is. I don't expect us to beat Seattle. Chris Carson's going to run off on our fucking ass. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a nuclear bomb. So,
nuclear.
where you guys are saying, oh, something's wrong with Luke, trust me, there is nothing wrong with Luke Kuechly. He's still the general that he is. He's still a 99 on Madden. Like, he's still the best middle linebacker in the game, fellas. So there is nothing wrong with Luke. I'm glad that we got fucking Shaq Thompson signed. That was beautiful. And Dante Jackson, I'm all for what he said. How the fuck are we gonna blitz an all-out blitz and leave our corners man up? And you got
with a guy who never had a catch in the NFL. You're right.
Yeah.
Poor
Sometimes
you.
they got to play that position.
Like,
you know?
Terry's a little bitch. That's why none of the quarterbacks liked him in Jacksonville. It is what it is. So if I were to pick, like, I want Harbaugh. Like,
Brandon Dugan says we don't have the personnel to run any defense.
From Baltimore, he would be dope. Why not Urban Meyer, man? or Lincoln Riley. Like shit.
Yeah, I like that. I don't want Urban Meyer.
And go get CD fucking Lamb.
Tired of
or
Urban Meyer's
Jerry
shit.
Jeudy, baby. Like we're in perfect
Jerry
position to
Jeudy's
get an
going second in
all-world
the
talent.
draft.
Not receiver, fellas. We need to pull the fucking trigger. I'm telling you. Hey, at the end of the day, keep pounding, fellas. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, baby, yeah.
You gotta unmute your mic, Cody.
Yeah, there's no way we're getting Jared Jeudy. I would love to have Jeudy,
Boom,
but
boom,
he's
boom,
going
boom.
second in
Cody
the draft,
loves-
no question.
Cody loves G Baby more than anybody.
G Baby, that's my spirit animal. Shout out my man G Baby, gang. That's my homie. That's my motherfucker. Holding it down in Utah. Big love. Keep pounding. Yeah, man. Listen, I've been saying this about Luke Kuechly. I don't think everything is on him, but at the same time, man, I think that we gotta get the quarterback that can get the ball to the receivers, man. I think DJ Moore is good. I think Curtis Samuel is good. I think we're missing that big body red zone receiver, that big type of animal that you can just throw the football somewhere in different
How come we haven't seen what's his name? Didn't we sign homeboy?
Hogan.
The guy. No, we signed a guy that, and I used to like him. His name. He went play. He was starting in Indy, then he went to Jacksonville.
Oh, Moncrief.
Yeah, we signed Dante Moncrief. That bitch ain't even. He's on the team, and we ain't even seen nothing.
Our coaches don't even know who's on the team at this point. Yo, did y'all know Dante Moncrief is a Carolina Panthers?
This man just catching a paycheck on the side. Like, he's like, I hope they don't notice me.
It's like, what? Dude, did you even know that guy was here? Fuck no, dude. I had no idea.
Oh, gosh. I wonder, is he still on the team? I haven't heard he has been cut or anything. He's got to be there.
I know we cut Greg Dortch. We signed him back and then cut Greg
Oh,
Dortch.
that dude's sorry. That dude's sorry. All right.
We have a problem at punt returner. It's ridiculous.
No, we have never had an answer since Steve Smith and Ted Ginn. And you know what? I feel I have to apologize to Ted Ginn. I was so mean to him while he was in Carolina, and now he's so good with the Saints.
He's all right. He's not good.
He catches the football now, the asshole. He didn't catch the football with us.
We'll say he's not bad. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll let people decide how they feel
Yeah,
about the
you're
not
right.
bad.
All right. Yeah. What'd you hear? All right, last call of the night, I hope.
Hi, it's Carl D again.
Carl D.
I'm just calling back. Cody, I need to correct you on
more calls.
What you were saying about when you were naming the Belichick tree. Mike Vrabel is not the Belichick tree. He just played with Belichick on some of those Super Bowl teams. He never was an assistant or any type of coach under Belichick. He's actually under what is the guy that what is his name? The ex-Titan
he's right.
head coach. The one he took his
Fisher?
place.
The Steve Fisher tree? Mike Malarkey.
I think his name right now. He was
it's Malarkey.
OC for the.
You can't think of it because his name is Malarkey.
With Fisher. Anyway, wherever the Titans guy coached at before, he got the Titan job. Vrabel was with him, so he brought Vrabel, hired him on the Titans staff when the Titans promoted him as their head coach. So yeah, that's just a correction to you, Tony. Mike Vrabel is not under the Bill Belichick tree.
Well, you know what I say?
Good star defensive player.
You know what I say? I'm stopping there. I say that's a bunch of malarkey. Next call.
Still
hey.
played for him.
What's going on, fellas? This is Matthias out of Chicago. Just real quick, man. Obviously,
is this my Twitter homie?
And I do not look forward to a potential tank of a season next year if Cam is not there. So, you know, I'm not going to really I don't have any thoughts on the game. Who cares? It is what it is. But,
if we are able to keep Cam, I would like for them to go into the draft process, whoever the next, coaching staff is and whatever other aid Hurney gets as GM, I would like for them to focus mainly on the offensive line and skill position, specifically a wide, wide receiver within the first 3 rounds. I'm pretty much at the point where it's just like, look, you can't fill every spot on the team with draft picks in a year. So you might as well just invest in keeping Cam up and with as many weapons as possible. We definitely need depth at the line and definitely at the wide receiver position, and maybe even tight end, because Greg hopefully just gives it a rest and just retire. Like, it's been a great run, but you're done. And Ian Thomas steps up as tight end 1. And, either offensive line in the first, I personally would like for them to get 2 interior guys, maybe someone who can play the center and also both guard spots. I don't think too highly of Trey Turner anymore. I don't think he's really all that good. He's probably second best, behind Moulton, but Moulton's play hasn't been.
I kind of think you're right with this.
Well, so honestly, I think almost everybody needs to have some competition, some good competition, right, behind them. So, like I said, protection for Cam, and then another receiver, probably a big body type guy, unless they want to get someone maybe in free agency. But I wouldn't mind a big body type target, to provide that other skill set within the offense.
That's what I was just saying.
They can use it. So, now, if Cam is gone, then I say best player available where we're at. So that's Derek Brown, about Auburn, get him.
All right, last call of the night. Here we come.
Damn, I'm sorry, guys. This is Matthias. I'll finish up my thought, even though it's taking that long. But yeah, no Cam, then, like I said, we just start going for the best players available, and there are some impact guys on the defensive side coming up in this draft. Like I said, Derek Brown out of Auburn would be great to bring that type of impact to our defensive line. And then Grant Delpit from LSU, rangy safety, we could use that. So, yeah, pretty much, that's pretty much it, man. Hey, I love what you guys are doing. Keep pounding, man. Peace.
Thank you so much for the call, man. We thank you. We thank you for the call. I did want to. All right, so your thoughts, guys.
I'm pretty sure that's my Twitter homie Matthias Bork, I believe, on Twitter. Me and him go back and forth all the time. If that is you, salute to you, man. Shout out to you for calling into the show. We've kind of talked about the draft a little bit at this point.
Just build that wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's the thing.
And listen, I'll give you guys some inside information. I'm looking at my at the draft tech spreadsheet that we got, and there's 1, 2, 3 offensive tackles in the top 10 picks of the draft this year. So if we're in that kind of range, man. Even though we drafted Greg Little, even though we have Taylor Moton, I'm just of the mindset that you cannot ever have enough talent on the offensive line. We've been talking about it for over a year. Build a down wall around Cam Newton so he has time to throw and distribute the football, and then you're going to see another monster year from Christian McCaffrey. I know people hate it because it's not the sexy pick. People want a receiver, which I do too. I still think we could use another receiver or a badass defensive lineman. I'm telling you, you may not want them, but those offensive linemen, those are the meat and potatoes of your football team. Mm-hmm. And you damn sure better have them if you want to win November and December football.
You guys cited earlier the Colts turnaround, and what did the Colts turnaround start with?
Drafting two starters on the offensive line. They drafted they converted a guard to right tackle from Auburn, and it's been awesome for them.
And what about when Dallas, turned their things around? When it started?
Yeah, Zach
Dallas
Martin.
would never turn her thing around.
Well, I mean, they did. I mean, at least they might be living a little bit on their. They might be living a little on their reputation now of a great line.
Well, and I also think Jason Garrett is another Ron Rivera in that he's had talent but just couldn't get the best out of it. Yeah, man, they've had good enough players.
All right, so the thing that stuck out with me this call, and I want to end the show kind of on this note. We still got to do our ice up picks. Is that it's a 3-hour show tonight. All calls. It's been all calls tonight. This has not been us going off. And you know what we haven't talked about? What we have talked about, I would say less. Our shortest call tonight was 18 like 58 seconds or something, or not even 50 seconds. I would say that call was longer than we talked about Seattle this entire show. 3 hours.
Wait a minute. Wait. There's a game Sunday?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
And we're coming to your house and crashing the party. Yeah, and we didn't even think about it one time tonight.
Does this mean I have to wear pants? If
Yeah.
y'all come over?
Absolutely not.
I do. Yeah, I like the way Suke.
No, I gotta clean your jock strap, so don't worry.
I'll have it hung up on the doorknob as soon as you get here.
All right, don't bother him. All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here. It's crazy. And, the weird thing to think about for the next show is that what's better than being 8-8 is being terrible. For our show, we're better if we're great or terrible. 8-8, nobody gives a shit. At least everybody's mad now. Yeah, everybody's mad now.
Yeah, misery loves company, man. If you're gonna be a miserable Panther fan, you might as well do it with us.
All right, let's ice some fools up. I'm gonna start first, just in case, and I got my pick ready to go, and it's one that I've iced up many times before. Look, I could go from anything. I mean, there's politics out there. There's life out there for me. There's all types of things that I go, but it always comes back to Charlie Casserole. Oh, you guys call him Charlie Casserole. I call him Charlie Casserelli, and his name to me is really a casserole that nobody fucking wants. It is an old, tired-ass 1980s casserole dish of canned corn and string beans and cream of mushroom soup mixed together. And this guy right here tweets this out on December 8th, you fucking asshole. I would be very surprised if the Panthers get a big deal for Cam Newton. Okay, so would I, because he's been injured as shit the whole time. But here's where the problem comes in. Best days are behind him does not fit a lot of offenses. The reason he may not get or would not get a big deal from the Panthers is because of injuries. That's it. And I just would like to remind you fucking turd of a casserole that you also said you would take Blaine Gabbert 99 out of 100 times over Cam Newton. And 99 out of 100 times, actually 100 out of 100 times, you would be a shithead. And I'm sorry.
You just muted yourself.
You went silent.
Yeah, you went silent. You gotta ice your own self up. You muted yourself in the middle of your.
We lost him. He's frozen.
Give him the 10 count. 10, 9.
We can't hear
you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, can't hear anything you're saying. Let me.
He's just talking.
Yeah, no volume, man. All right, listen. I'm gonna let's move on to Okay, 1 second. Okay, we're waiting.
jamming.
Remix.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. All right, I'm back.
Dude, fucking CK is dropping hot bombs over here, dude.
And nobody can hear it. Nobody can hear it.
I'm icing up you for interrupting CK's fucking beatboxing, dude.
Come on, hit me with a little 5 seconds of it.
Yeah.
God.
Pretty
I'm
good.
into it.
All right. So, fuck you, Charlie Casserole. Ice up. All right. Who's got something else?
You two want to go first?
You go ahead, Greg, if you want to go.
Yeah, sure, I'll go. I am going to ice up Bill Belichick. I'm sure y'all probably heard all the news about Spygate 2 that's going on this week. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have somebody in this league that can be caught cheating in so many different ways, so many different times, and he still has a job. And not only does he still have a job, but everybody forgets about it and acts like he's the best coach ever. Well, of course he is. He's been cheating the entire time he's been here. We caught him 6 times. You don't think that he's happened more than that? We just haven't caught him? I mean, the Patriots they have their own video crew that they have their own like YouTube show on their website, and for some reason they send this video crew to opposing teams that they're playing to shoot the show there
ahead of time.
Yeah, ahead of time.
Yeah,
which makes no sense. And then when it comes down that they end up filming this sidelines for 8 minutes, the coaches and everybody say, "I have no knowledge of this." Well, if you want to stay out of that kind of trouble, don't send a damn video crew to the opposing team's stadium while they're doing their walkthroughs and practices.
They call them the advanced scouting team.
Yeah. And I don't get how you get away with this.
It's apparently for, like you said, their YouTube show. And like they said, they weren't aware of the rules.
Yeah, not aware of. And then what did they say? They had one who was a rogue. Whenever they got caught filming over in England, they had the guy. They said he was a rogue reporter. Took the stolen sword for everybody. It's like, or not reporter, video, filmography or whatever it was. It's like, come on, man, seriously. So to you, Bill Belichick, I say ice up, because you wouldn't have all those rings and all this clout if you hadn't cheated and been in the easiest division of football for the last 25 years.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah,
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
CK, what you got for us?
I want to ice up Mother Nature for pushing back my closing date till Friday.
Oh,
okay. This house thing's really been a headache.
It's almost there, man. I got till next Friday, but it might be a positive though, and so my ice up might be irrelevant because I was going to close Thursday here in 2 days, which means I would be moving Friday and Saturday, and then going to the Seattle game, which would have not been conducive for a very happy wife.
Oh no, she would have not let you go.
No, it would have been a terrible, terrible, terrible week following that.
No, you couldn't go to that.
Yeah, but now we've got it pushed back to next Friday, and it allows me the Seattle game without having the guilt that my wife would absolutely pour on every second and every opportunity.
And deservedly at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it's unnecessary. It would be a...
You know, we bought the tickets before we started the podcast.
Baby, you knew this was going to happen. You knew this was going to happen. I love it. All right. So, ice up Mother. All right, Cody, what you got?
Yeah, I am icing up Nick Cannon. I don't know if any of you have heard about this.
I saw the video today.
Dude, it's so bad, dude. So Eminem was on a song with Fat Joe and someone else, and he talked about Nick Cannon. He's gone back and forth before. Apparently, they've both been with, had sex with Mariah Carey or whatever. It's this whole big thing. But then today, Nick Cannon decides that he wants to shoot his shot back at Eminem, and decides to release 2 music videos, 2 diss tracks aimed at Eminem. And both of them absolutely tanked, dude. On YouTube, the dislike to like ratio is enormous. R.I.P. Nick Cannon was trending on Twitter. I mean, Eminem didn't even have to respond to the man. and he's already lost.
He did put out a tweet. Did you see? He said, "I didn't have it because Nick Cannon line was like, and you paid your chauffeur off who caught you sucking cock." And he said, "I ain't ever had no motherfucking chauffeur."
Yeah, and by
like
the
you
way,
know, Eminem would annihilate this dude. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that it was almost cute? I felt like
the responses that Eminem put out were more liked than both of the videos that he dropped combined. And on top of that, he had 5 other dudes in the video rapping and dissing Eminem. Like, dude, do you not know how a rap battle works? I think maybe you need to
he's not a rapper even, dude. He's like a singer almost. Yeah. And then, all right, on top of that, I did want to ask you this, Cody. If you watched it, Suge Knight makes every motherfucker nervous. I tell you that. He makes every one of us nervous in the room. If you with Suge Knight, you're like, this motherfucker, you don't know what he's going to do. Didn't you feel like it was a little overtly threatening?
Well, anytime Suge Knight says anything,
I know, but it was like this. We are gonna fucking kill. I mean, it was one way. It was one note away from communicating threats. Like, I felt like you could have legal action against what Suge Knight was saying.
No doubt, but dude, Eminem is so famous. Eminem has so much money. He could pay for bodyguards that would fuck Suge Knight up before he even knew what was happening, dude. But yeah, dude, of course, dude, Suge Knight's whole thing is
real story here. Mariah Carey is a hoe.
Oh yeah, Mariah Carey gets around, man. But hey, more power to her, man. Hey,
I get down with it.
But Nick Cannon is a loser, and he failed super hard today for the entire world to see. Ice up, son.
All right, it's the C3 Panthers podcast live Tuesday night for too many hours. We got the post-game show. We got the Seattle coming up. CK, tell them how they can follow you. You're maybe at 110 right now.
I'm definitely over 110, and
yes.
If you haven't followed me by now,
you're missing out.
There's a problem. I'm just kidding. I think we just need to. I think we need to just promote a tweet and just hope that it works.
All right, at Codizzle Allen.
Yes, that's it.
All right,
he's fine.
CK, not CK. Cody, where are you at?
I am at Cody Lax, CODYLAC on Twitter. I'll BS with you about anything you want, man, from football to politics to who's looking good today. I don't care. There's also a brand new mock draft on drafttech.com with comments for the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans. In the coming weeks, my write-up will be more player-specific instead of more of a team rundown. So if you're a draft nerd like me, man, tune in. I'll feed you, my babies.
The Bat Daddy, where can they get after you?
No, just like that, man. You can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. You can also talk to me through my other show, the Super Civil Servants Podcast. You can find it at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. We talk about movies, TV shows, entertainment. Hit me up.
All right, I'm Tony Dunn at cat_Chronicles. And look, we got still 30 people still hanging with us 3 hours later. That's crazy. Y'all are the best.
They're probably sleeping.
Yeah. Y'all are the best. Nah, they sitting there talking in the chat room the whole time. All right, you guys are the best. Stackhouse Mentality, Brandon Dugan, Carl Davis, all the way to the end. Joey Esquivel, you guys are great. We'll see you we'll see you Sunday and Tuesday. And don't worry, we got a lot of this therapy to go. Keep pounding, guys.